It all started 51 years ago with DC Export and Domestic Packing, the hard work of founders Dominic and Carol Cochemiglio. Their family's desire to exceed customer expectations, backed by an incredible team and loyal customers, is now driving expansion. From their humble roots in a garage-sized building to 100,000 square feet in the Chicago area, 45,000 in Greenville, and a new Houston facility, they're coast to coast. And their sister company, DC Transport, handles everything from container drayage to super heavy haul loads across North America since 1991. Whether it's packing and crating, transloading, transportation service, or trade shows, the DC Group delivers. Those that attended FabTech 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Get your quote now at dcexport.com. That's dcexport.com, your trusted logistics partner.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You need a construction company, but who?
Paul Preston.
Crosscom. A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
A voice for the new right, charting a new path forward for American conservatism. It's the Josh Hammer Show.
What is the alternative to engaging with your political opponents, to hearing out their criticism in as happy warrior-like fashion as you can have it? The day that we replace that with, God forbid, with violence, that's how republics die. There is nothing good down that road.
The Josh Hammer Show on the Salem Podcast Network. Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. Friday will have intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft, a third term for President Trump. Do we have to do this again? Apparently, Trump on his trip out east on Air Force One, chatting up the D.C. press corps types that were traveling with him, asked about the prospect of figuring out some way to run for re-election in 2028, despite the 22nd Amendment problem. In part, this is precipitated by an interview that Steve Bannon gave to The Economist, which we'll get to in just a moment. Trump saying, we got some talent behind me, namely Vance and Rubio, but I'm not ruling it out.
Well, we have great people. Well, I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have J.D., obviously. The vice president is great. I think Marco's great. I think, I'm not sure if anybody would run against us. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. I believe that. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it, am I not ruling it out? You'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they don't.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. I'm putting this in the category of Trump's classic trolling, but because, at the same time, he's not ruling it out, leaving the door ajar. He's talking about Rubio and Vance and them getting together and they'd be unstoppable, and Vance or Rubio probably would more likely be the order, but there may be some tension there. Rubio was the one standing behind him on Air Force One when he referred to this guy right behind me, and Rubio just smiled, sort of a Cheshire cat grin. Anyway, this is what sort of restarted this speculation and, of course, gave fodder for the CNNs and MSNBCs of the world to once again raise the specter of dictator for life, authoritarian. Somebody cue up Bobby De Niro to say the same thing he was saying in Trump's first term. He's never going to leave, and the shadow that is being cast over the United States, and so on and so forth. But here's what Bannon said, where Trump is, I think, being cagey and provocative and trolling, as is his wont, particularly with the press corps. Bannon, of course, more serious. I was going to say sober, but I wouldn't say sober, just more serious about the idea that a Trump third term is going to happen, and it's a providential necessity.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28. First off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people, okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started. And President Trump is the instrument, a providential instrument to finish this job.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Like the Bruise Brothers, Bannon and Trump are on a mission from God, and they can't be stopped. The will of the people shall prevail. Well, Steve Bannon says somehow, almost mystically, it will. You may consider these comments in terms of how much attention you give to Steve Bannon. I don't know. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. By the way, there are sort of cutesy potential ways around the 22nd Amendment, like Trump being the VP candidate. Because, of course, the 22nd Amendment is silent on that issue. But Trump, in that same back and forth in Air Force One, says, I'm not doing that. I don't think the people would like that. That's too cutesy. I'm not doing that. So if that's what you're thinking, or if that's what Bannon's thinking, you had Trump sort of rule that out. Again, to the extent that Trump is actually taking this seriously or just having fun watching the pot be stirred. Tom in Cherville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I think he's just having fun and trolling the left because the 22nd Amendment is clear. And I was taught in school the reason that was put in 1951, signed by Truman and ratified by 38 states, is they didn't want another Roosevelt. They didn't want somebody getting elected 4 times.
That's correct. That's exactly right. Thanks for the call, Tom. And I don't see a repeal of the 22nd Amendment or an amendment to the 22nd Amendment in the offing between now and 2028. So, George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan. Trump has to remain as president, so Rosie O'Donnell stays in Ireland.
Yeah, that's the providential part, right, George? Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Dan, thanks for taking my call, because I'll tell you what, I think there's one slim path here for Trump, and it's because this is the first time for this where it hinges on if they can prove, this is maybe what Bannon's talking about, if they can prove that he was robbed of that second term, because the thing is 2 terms in a row, and he had it, and they stole it from him.
So how would it? Wait, I'm sorry. Well, first of all, that's not going to happen. But secondly, if it did, then that would be this would be his 3rd term, not his. So I don't understand. So how does that get around the Second Amendment, the 22nd Amendment?
Only because of this. The slim path is because of restitution to the person that was harmed in the the injured person.
How is restitution? He's in his 2nd term.
Right.
So what is the restitution? You're saying that the 2020 term was stolen, so that was his legitimate 2nd term. Now he's in his 3rd term, so that means he gets to run for a 4th term? What?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking that if there's some way that they can get the people, kind of like behind it, that he got robbed of having 2 consecutive terms. That's the issue here. Consecutive.
No. That's not the issue. No. That's not the issue. No. Thanks for the call, Craig. Nice try. I mean, you offered a better effort at it than Steve Bannon did. But no, you're prohibited from serving more than 2 terms, consecutively or non-consecutively. Pretty clear. So let's chalk this up to trolling. And let's watch CNN and MSNBC get all out of sorts and play the Bannon clips over and over again and play the cutesy clip with Trump having fun with the D.C. press corps and spend about as much time on this as we're going to spend on the big, beautiful ballroom. Let the left obsess about these trivial matters. I'm not saying the constitutional prohibition is trivial. I'm saying the politics of it is trivial. Jay in Lake Geneva.
They're just trolling and triggering. Dan, we live in a different world now. You used to just compete with your old company you used to work for down the dial. But now you got to compete with every single podcast there is out there, and every single podcast has got to compete with themselves. So we're in a different world. They're just trolling and triggering. It's funny for a second, but overall it's silly. We got a national debt to worry about people and a lot more important things.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. Thanks for the call. And that's a good point too. You make this is the problem in this fragmented universe. Which I mean, I'm all for. I'm Thousand Flowers Bloom and all that. But there's a tendency of like if nobody's paying attention to me, I'm going to say something outlandish to get people talking about me again. I don't think that's Trump. I think Trump is just trolling because he's been set up to do so by Bannon. But I'm not sure that they're really hamming and egging it. I mean, Bannon just doesn't. If there's one thing Bannon isn't, it's cute. I mean, he's a blunt instrument. So I don't know. I think he's got some half-baked idea that what he was describing is going to happen or could actually happen. But I think Trump is just having a go of it again with the D.C. press corps and the left, and I repeat myself. All right, coming up at 5:38, the Pritzker Sanctuary State body count increases by 2, tragically. We'll have that story, 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 49 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A manager of the Laugh Factory in Chicago is due in court this afternoon. According to reports, Nathan Griffin is accused of assaulting a federal ICE agent. Griffin was reportedly trying to prevent the agents from exiting their vehicles and close the vehicle door, causing scrapes to the agent's legs. A crowdfunding campaign has raised more than $20,000 to assist in covering Griffin's legal fees. A state senator is weighing in on the arrest of a Hanover Park officer, saying a state law which allows non-citizens to serve as police officers is complicating the issue. Katrina Barker has the story.
State Senator Chapin Rose explained the case highlights flaws with House Bill 3751, which allows non-citizens with work authorization to serve as officers.
What civilized nation allows the citizens of another nation to arrest their own people on their soil?
This news report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free so you can drive with peace of mind. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next minute.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest and Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service Incorporated and by Virago.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. My Slippers, only $39.98. Any color, any style. Regular $149.98. Now, only $39.98. That's a $110 savings. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
If you have an IRA or 401k, then this message is definitely one you need to hear. The price of 1 troy ounce of silver has more than doubled in the past 24 months, and silver is poised for huge gains in the near term. That's why when you call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD, you'll be positioned for the next wave of dramatic growth in precious metals. The devaluation of the U.S. dollar and the volatility of the stock market all play a part in why silver continues to be a safe haven location for your assets, and why precious metals continue to dominate in an uncertain financial climate. Learn more when you call 800-741-GOLD. We'll send you a free precious metals guide, plus a copy of former IMF Chairman Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. The time is now for you to consider silver to protect your retirement. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-4653 right now. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. For too long, universities here have operated as islands, separate from their country, promoting junk thought and radical ideology. Thus, the Trump administration has proposed a funding compact for universities to receive federal dollars. This includes universities that host organizations supporting terrorist networks, universities hosting organizations that fight for the eradication of Western civilization and give admission to students from other countries who lead those organizations. The compact is common sense, calling for admissions based on objective criteria, support for a vibrant marketplace of ideas, civil discourse, non-discrimination in hiring, and institutional neutrality like other nonprofits. A number of universities are refusing. Why? They believe they should be entitled to your money even as they are contemptuous of your values, American values. Universities promoting and teaching ideas alien to the best human civilization can offer and using criteria alien to any notion of civil rights should end now. I'm Seth Leibson.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix and boom, you're missing a part. It's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay, and it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. By Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and many more. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Some terrible news out of central Illinois. Clark County on Friday night. 2 people were killed just west of Westfield, Illinois. Michael Clayton, who is a member of the Coles County Board, and his wife Gail were killed when a van with 2 people inside crossed the center line and hit their truck. The driver of the van was cited for DUI and multiple other violations. The 2 people in the van were in this country illegally. The driver is facing vehicular manslaughter charges, among others, to include DUI. Passenger was also detained at the Clark County Jail and then later released into the hands of ICE, we understand from the Edgar County Watchdogs, who are on this story. And thank goodness they are on the story, because you know what the story is from the NBC affiliate down there, WAND. Coles County board member, wife killed in Westfield crash, driver charged. So it's on the headline, but surely, Dan, they included the fact that the man responsible for the death of these 2 senior citizens, by the way, certainly they said when they were listing the citations: not driving on the right side of the road, failure to reduce speed, driver's license, operating an uninsured motor vehicle, illegal transportation of open alcohol, unlawful possession of cannabis, driving under the influence of alcohol/drugs. Certainly when they included all those charges in the affiliate story, they included that the driver is in this country illegally, residing in Indianapolis, but was driving in Illinois. Certainly they included that, didn't they? They did not. So the only reason we know is because of the investigative work of the Edgar County Watchdogs, who we've had on this show before, and Jeannie Ives has on her program on Sunday nights weekly. 2 more dead because Illinois is a sanctuary state where local law enforcement doesn't cooperate with federal law enforcement. And yet, I know we're supposed to focus our attention, I know this from the Political Press Corps, and all of their regional outposts around the state of Illinois. We're supposed to be mainly concerned about professional agitators who suffer minor slights at the hands of ICE while they are perpetually accosting, antagonizing, and assaulting ICE officers. That's what we're supposed to mainly be cared about. We're supposed to be gripped by what will happen today when Greg Bovino appears in federal court to address the issue of the use of tear gas when crowds routinely congregate around ICE during their attempts to effect apprehensions under the law, in other words, carry out their lawful duties, crowds gather around, whistles are blown, epithets are launched, and the rocks and the bottles usually aren't far behind. That's what we're supposed to focus on, but not to this couple down from Coles County who is now dead because we live in a sanctuary city where a political ruling class has no respect for the rule of law and, frankly, no interest in the public safety of law-abiding U.S. citizens and, frankly, otherwise law-abiding migrants who were also oftentimes the victim of crimes at the hands of predators that this open borders crowd collectively led into this country and wants to have reside here permanently. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. It's just sickening. And rather than addressing this, did you hear Governor Pritzker address this? No, you have to whistle him before a congressional committee like Comer did and have, for example, Joe Abraham, the father of Katie Abraham, who was also killed in a DUI crash, of course, in Urbana, visiting friends at U of I by someone in this country illegally driving drunk. You have to have Joe Abraham, you have to invite him to sit behind Pritzker so that some member of Congress can ask him if he'd like to say anything to Joe Abraham, and then he gives sort of this canned, I'm sorry for what happened to your daughter, that's a terrible thing kind of response without any accountability for the conditions that he created that allowed for an otherwise preventable crime to occur. I just don't know when people in this state are going to have enough of this already. And I know from the polling that it's not going to be the Dems. A new Rasmussen poll, 70% of Democrats say illegal immigrants should be granted amnesty and allowed to stay. 7 in 10 Democrats. Categorically. And it's just about the opposite among Republicans. So, I'm sorry, what's that middle ground we're going to forge? On the mass deportation, 69% of Republicans support, 65% of Democrats oppose. 47% of voters, this is again Rasmussen, 47% say Trump's being too harsh, 32% saying he's got it just about right, and 17% he wasn't tough enough. So again, it's basically split. 32 and 17 saying he's got it right, he needs to be even tougher, are on his side, and 47% saying it's too harsh. So what do all those sanctuary city and state politicians, would they like to say something to the Clayton family down in Coles County? No? Nobody? Right. Mary at Midway.
I often think of how he used to say during COVID, if we can just save one life, trying to defend his draconian measures and how he had the ventilators, over 400 put in McCormick Place, Donald Trump did for him, which, by the way, I think they used like 4 of them and beds. And he would always say, people, if we can just save one life. In the meantime, it's his policies that are costing innocent people their life, many of them. But if we can save one life, they're all like that.
That's what they say. I remember Pat Quinn saying the same thing. They say that as a matter of course, just like they say we're taking this very seriously and we're taking that very seriously. You know how you know a politician isn't taking something seriously? When he says, I'm taking something seriously. If you were taking it seriously, it would be obvious. You wouldn't need to say it. Sort of like, trust me. If you were trustworthy, it would be obvious. You wouldn't need to try to persuade me. Scott, Frankfurt.
Hey, Dan. Hey, I got a question for you. Why do you think there's been such a massive uptick on the illegals being caught were actually causing these fatal crashes. Why weren't we hearing anything for the last 6 years? Was it just because they were covering them all up? Or, what's different now?
Thanks for the call, Scott. I don't think anything's different. I think you have greater engagement. We've been telling stories about the crimes that were being committed by people who had been shipped up here from Texas. Since we're a welcoming state, don't you know? We're a welcoming state if you want to punch your ticket to the heavenly gates. But we were telling these stories throughout the Biden years, in this show, and other shows were too, talking about the situation in the city. I mean, remember the situation outside of the Standard Club? Remember in police stations? The CWB Chicago did some good reporting on this. The spike in the crimes committed by Venezuelan migrants in Chicago, with the surge in people being bused from the border to Chicago at their choice, right? That's grab at. Where do you want to go? Chicago. Great. Here's the bus. Jump on. So how is this happening, or why is this happening? Because we've got millions and millions of people in this country illegally that came in basically unvetted. Which is why I'm always quick to say, yes, it's a small number of people who are predators or who have reckless disregard for other people's lives and are in this country illegally. Probably a small percentage of the overall number, but it's a big number. So the category of people who are predators or have reckless disregard for other people's lives in this country illegally, that category is populated with hundreds of thousands of people. Can do a lot of damage to the law-abiding, as we're seeing. Can't they? Oh, in other news along these lines, Fox News reporting yesterday, those peaceful men and women of conscience on the left, they found another one in Minnesota.
According to authorities in this affidavit that we just saw a couple of hours ago, unsealed recently, he allegedly offered a $45,000 bounty. In the post, there's a photo, and this was on TikTok, a photo of the Attorney General with a sniper red dot, and it reads, "Wanted Pam Bondi, reward $45,000, dead or alive, preferably dead." That's a quote. He is in custody. Additionally, his TikTok page had anarchist symbols, according to the affidavit filed. The affidavit reads, quote, "Additionally, the suspect user's TikTok page had a link to an anarchist FAQ book pinned to his page."
$45,000 bounty on Bondi, bounties on Bovino by some Latin King gangbanger and ICE agents arrested in Chicago. Oh, and what comments did we get about this yesterday? Well, Dick Durbin did weigh in. He weighed in. Second Durbin, your outgoing senator, congratulations for helping him to enjoy an entire career as a federal elected official from Illinois. Wonderful judgment by those starting in Central Illinois, where he was a congresswoman, and then, of course, statewide since 1996. Done a bang-up job, hasn't he? When he's not comparing U.S. military to the Khmer Rouge, as he did during the Iraq War, you recall. He's comparing ICE agents to...
There's only one parallel in history that I can think of that has occurred in my lifetime. And that, of course, would be the internment of 120,000 Japanese Americans during World War II.
Yep. That comparison is right up there with BLM Brandon's riff on using the term illegal alien.
We don't have illegal aliens. I don't know if that's from some sort of sci-fi message that you wish you had. Well, listen, the legal term for my people were slaves. You want me to use that term too? So look, let's just get the language right. We're talking about undocumented individuals that are human beings. The last thing that I'm going to do is accept the type of racist, nasty language to describe human beings. And so as far as our spending...
How is illegal alien racist exactly? It's actually race neutral, isn't it? Yeah, that's the sort of logic that is not only a stranger in Illinois, it's the enemy. Logic and truth, those are the dragons that the political ruling class must continue to slay to stay in power. ICE, the comparison of ICE to FDR's internment of Japanese Americans. You'll note Senator Durbin. I mean, this is obvious to everybody but Durbin and his supporters. You'll note he used the term Japanese Americans. That connotes something important, doesn't it? Like the fact they were Americans, citizens, here legally. That's number one. Number two, nobody is being interned. Remember, and this needs to be addressed everywhere you hear it, it is the left who tried to end run due process during the Biden administration, as Tom Homan is quick to remind people. All these beds at ICE facilities, to put them on the detained list so they could get a court hearing on their asylum claim within 60 to 90 days. And you could adjudicate the caseload quickly. Instead, non-detained were most of the people that came here illegally, released into the country, and now you're in the business of years and years, mailings back and forth, stall tactics to try to identify where people are, to try to get them before an immigration judge and have their case adjudicated to the extent it is, to final deportation order issued to get that enforced. There was no effort to do any of it. They undermined due process on purpose. And as we have talked about with those being apprehended and processed, or depending on in what stage of their due process they're in, some of them have already had due process and they have final deportation orders, the individuals being picked up. Pretty aggravating. And it's aggravating when you have to deal with smartasses like this who think this is funny. I'm talking about this text from 331. Since the guy lived in Indianapolis, does Indiana share some culpability? You think that's cute? Is that what we should tell the Clayton family? Is that what you would say if it was two of your family members? You asshat. Every one of the 50 states undoubtedly has people living in the state that are in this country illegally, don't you think? When you have an open borders politicians that release millions into this country, as happened during the Biden administration. The difference, of course, is that Indiana is not a sanctuary state. The difference, of course, is that Indiana state and local law enforcement work with federal law enforcement. Is that a big difference? To try to protect people, law-abiding U.S. citizens? Is that a big difference, what happens in Indianapolis versus what happens in Springfield? You buffoon. Center cut for Illinois. Owen and Willowbrook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. Hey, Dan, I really believe a lot of credit to exposing this whole immigration thing and bringing it to the forefront are Governor DeSantis and Governor Abbott.
100%.
Because I can remember when Dobbs talked on station that used to be a good station years ago about illegal immigration, and nobody gave a rip. And the thing is, when they started sending illegals up here, it really started putting pressure on BLM Brandon, because his constituents had said, hey, these guys are affecting me, my life. They shut down our schools. Now they're living there. They put up tents, and now we're not getting our piece of the pie. And I'll tell you, I give those guys a lot of credit, and it might be a little pain that we're going through, and thank God for President Trump, because they exposed it, and he put the pressure on these sanctuary cities and these leftist communist politicians.
Totally right. Totally agree, Owen. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I think that's spot on. And the unfortunate thing is that there's no appeal that can be made to some substantial segment of the general electorate nationally and certainly in Illinois. No appeal that can be made based on logic and reason. Even based on kindness. They don't even understand what kindness is. They think lawlessness is synonymous with kindness. The only way to impress upon them the consequences of their barbarism is to deliver it to their front door. That's the sad thing. And so that couple in Coles County, just like Katie Abraham, will be a story they rush past, treat as a statistic, give you a what about, some fat WGN reporter who got pushed to the ground by ICE. What about that? What about it? Mike in Yorkville.
Dan, good morning. Many of the things that you are describing, these people are sociopaths, borderline narcissistic. They don't have it. They lack empathy for people and their issue. What they are is taking this issue and taking it to be their cause so they can actually gain power from this. And by gaslighting people throughout the whole way, they're trying to go and alter the reality of what actually happens. And that's their ploy. And until we treat it as such, where we treat them as, they're just diminutive. You have to almost, I don't want to say leave them alone, not address it, but each time they go ahead and just act like little children, treat them accordingly.
Thanks for the call, Mike. I did want to give a tip of the cap to Palatine police, who behave like police. Maybe they didn't wait for a stand down order. They just behave like police. And of course, this story is covered by ABC, so I'm sure there's some Harridan and Palatine that's hunting down the police officers that behaved like police and aided ICE officers in the apprehension of. Really, aided ICE officers are not even in the apprehension of somebody allegedly in this country illegally. Don't know the details on the case, but it was just protecting them from, the mob that forms everywhere ICE is operating.
Viewers shared this video of agents trying to take someone into custody outside a shopping plaza on East Dundee Road this morning. We blurred that person's face because it is not clear if they're facing charges. Police say some bystanders were shouting obscenities and moving toward the agents. Palatine says their officers stepped in between the agents and the crowd to ensure everyone's safety. And at one point, a Palatine officer grabbed the right arm of the person being arrested and gave them verbal instructions.
Yeah, because the person was resisting. So trying to get everybody out of there safely and let the justice system do its job. So good on the Palatine police. It's not about our men and women in uniform. It's about the political leadership of this region and state. Coming up at 6:06, we'll turn our attention to the government shutdown. The core constituencies of the neo-Marxists starting to crack. We'll have that at 6:06. It is now 6 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
They've become very close friends. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump says about Japan's new prime minister, bringing her on stage with them while addressing American troops on a U.S. aircraft carrier stationed in Japan.
The cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world.
Japan's first female prime minister, Sanae Takaishi, who just came into office a week ago, does not have a long-standing relationship with President Trump, and she was navigating this deal that was arranged by her predecessor to spend $550 billion in the U.S. That is about a tenth of Japan's economy, all that on projects chosen by Washington in order to avert tariffs that were higher than 15%.
That's Fox's Jackie Heinrich in Tokyo, where the president is now meeting with business leaders.
The two leaders signed a framework agreement pledging to ramp up mining and processing of rare earth minerals to jointly strengthen supply chains, with China controlling the vast majority of the world's supply.
Now, the president will meet with China's leader on the next stop at the Trump Asia trip in South Korea. Hurricane Melissa will batter Jamaica this morning, a Category 5, the strongest ever to hit the island with 175-mile-an-hour winds.
2 to 3 feet of precipitation in some areas at the higher altitudes, maybe even 4 feet of rain will create mudslides, rock slides, degradation of roads, and power outages will be widespread.
That's Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Kingston. Big job cuts coming at Amazon. The company told workers in an email 14,000 jobs will be lost. At baseball's World Series, Game 3 lasted as long as 2 games.
Thurman sends a fly ball to center field. Varsho's going back before the catch strikes midnight.
Freddie Freeman's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning won it for the defending champion Dodgers, beating the Blue Jays 6-5 on Fox, giving LA a 2-1 series lead over Toronto. And after playing for 6 hours, 39 minutes, they'll play again tonight. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Los Angeles International Airport has joined the growing list of airports around the country, including Chicago's O'Hare International, that are experiencing air traffic controller shortages due to the partial government shutdown. Officials with the FAA say flights at LAX were stopped for about an hour and a half. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says travelers can expect more delays as air traffic controllers are forced to work without receiving their paychecks. And speaking of the government shutdown, we are now on day 28. Should the shutdown go past Friday, SNAP benefits and Head Start are targeted for closure. Nearly 2 million people here in Illinois receive SNAP benefits each month to help supplement their food budget, and nearly 14,000 children participate in Head Start just here in Chicago alone. U.S. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino is in court today to answer questions about a federal immigration crackdown here in the Chicago area, which has produced more than 1,800 arrests and complaints of excessive force. That hearing comes after a judge ordered uniformed immigration agents to wear body cameras. That's the latest step in a lawsuit by news outlets and protesters who say federal agents have used excessive force, including using tear gas during protests. And the estranged husband of a woman who was found dead in the stairwell of her South Loop condo last year is set to be charged with her murder. According to reports, Adam Beckerink was sentenced to 93 days in jail after pleading no contest to domestic violence charges regarding Caitlin Tracy at her home in Michigan. That happened last week, and now a Cook County judge has issued a warrant for his arrest in her murder. This news is a service of Fox Valley Coins. This is a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry and sterling flatware, cash or check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest and Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Nauman and Associates, Scott Tucker Solutions Incorporated, and by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Is cremation an option you're considering for you or your loved one?
At Catholic cemeteries, we offer sacred, permanent places of rest where loved ones can be remembered, prayed for, and visited for generations. Too often, cremated remains are brought home, only to end up in closets, basements, or forgotten on shelves. Memorialization is forever. Honor their life. Preserve your legacy. Visit us today at CatholicCemeteryChicago.org to schedule a free consultation or call 708-236-5490.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. What do you have to lose? Call 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, already looking at some trouble spots this morning on the Stevensons. We're watching an accident blocking the 2 left lanes. If you're inbound between Harlem and Pulaski, about a 30-minute delay in that area, so be watchful. The Kennedy's looking good so far. Inbound between Nagle and Austin, no traffic delays there. Also outbound between California and Fullerton, normal traffic pattern right there. The Eisenhower's cruising along with minor delays if you're inbound between Manheim and Oak Park. The Dan Ryan looking at some backups on the local lanes inbound between 35th and 18th. The Tri-State watching some issues on the northbound off-ramp to the westbound Eisenhower Expressway. Expect some delays on that exit ramp. And we got an issue on the trains on the Metro Electric South Chicago branch between South Chicago 93rd and Stony Island. An earlier vehicle on the tracks has been cleared, but there's about 30 to 40 minutes of lingering delays, so plan for that. Traffic, a service of the Daily Podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the Daily Podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of the forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. Friday will have intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just continuing on our discussion that began with the news out of Clark County. That's where the crash occurred. crash involving a Coles County board member named Michael Clayton and his wife, who were both killed by an illegal alien. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't use that term. Brandon Johnson prefers, rather than calling them illegal alien because that's somehow racist, he prefers we call them voters. By a voter driving who crossed the median line, driving drunk. A friend, Joe Remke, Remke's Auto, he texted me. Mike was a friend of mine. He was the equipment manager at Eastern when I played there. Joe Remke played football at Eastern. Very nice guy, and he sent me a picture of Michael Clayton, that Coles County board member that was killed. I'll make it real, so not a statistic. These are actual human beings, as Brandon Johnson might say. Actual human beings. Speaking of J.B. Pritzker, he was on MSNBC. He continues to make the rounds, mainly what he does now. He's sort of like Gavin Newsom. People are dying on the streets of Chicagoland and all over Illinois thanks to his combination of the no cash bail plus the sanctuary state. He's off plying his trade, trying to position himself for not just re-election, but, of course, his party's nomination in 2028. And they both agreed, did J.B. Pritzker and Nicole Wallace. By the way, there was no Jeff Daniels-like serenade of Nicole Wallace by Pritzker. They both agreed that this idea that Jelly Belly and his fellow travelers refer to Trump as a Nazi, compare him to Hitler, that's completely invented. Nobody does that.
I haven't suggested that Donald Trump is Hitler. I wouldn't say
I don't
that
think any Democrat has. I actually, and I think it's a smear that they project back on to critics.
Yep. That's what they're doing. No one, J.B. Pritzker and no one on the left has suggested that Trump is Hitler, has compared him to Hitler. No one's done that? Here was J.B. Pritzker last week. Last week at the Economic Club of Chicago.
This is what happened. This is what happened. People's rights started getting taken away. People got accused of being immigrants. This is before the Holocaust really took place. People were accused of being immigrants, and then laws were passed to limit immigrants, and then people who weren't actually immigrants were called immigrants, and then it was othering people, and that led to a lot worse things. What I'm saying is that this is how authoritarian regimes do it. They create these kind of fake ideas that there's an enemy out there and it could be sitting next to you at one of these tables. And so just somebody at your table that you don't like might be one of those enemies. And so let's round them up. Let's make sure that they are the subject of the laws that we're passing because we don't like who they are. That is what authoritarian regimes do.
Is that a Hitler comparison? You heard him invoke the Holocaust, too. Does that connote 1940s Germany? Or is that too deep of a dig on my part? Oh, maybe this one. His frackin' State of the State address this past winter, February.
If you think I'm overreacting and sounding the alarm too soon, consider this. It took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic. And all I'm saying is that when the 5-alarm fire starts to burn, every good person better be ready to man a post with a bucket of water if you want to stop it from raging out of control.
He's just providing a tangential read on history. It has no modern application. He's certainly not implicating anybody by raising the specter of the Third Reich in his State of the State address, is he? Despite the fact that he spent a good third of it talking about Trump. He's not suggesting that Trump is Hitler there, is he? The stuff that these guys get away with is just so frustrating. It's pathological, or as I think it was Mike from Yorkville said earlier today, it's sociopathic. It's disqualifying. I mean, it should be. He didn't make any Hitler comparison. No. He never does.
What I know is in the early days of the Nazi regime, they started slowly but surely taking away people's rights. And what we're seeing now is the very same thing.
Is that a suggestion? Is that a comparison? Is that spot on? I mean, other than wearing a T-shirt that says Trump is Hitler, could it be any more explicit? And, of course, he's not the only one, because just to fold in Nicole Wallace here, nobody does that. Cue Dan Goldman.
He is paving the way to become a Vladimir Putin or to become an Adolf Hitler or a Kim Jong-un. That's what he wants to be.
Cue her former colleague, Joy Reid, on MSNBC.
Where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy.
Cue fake eyelash Spice, Jasmine Crockett.
Me disagreeing with you, me calling you, I want to be Hitler. All those things are like not necessarily saying go out and hurt somebody.
And Dick Durbin never compared ICE to and what they're doing to the Japanese internment either. That will be his statement after he just made that comparison from the well of the Senate. I mean, is there nothing these people can say? Is there no lie they can tell that is bad enough? Or do you say, okay, I mean, enough already of this? It really is just a complete lack of self-respect that people have who tolerate this, I'm talking about. That J.B. Pritzker voters in Illinois have. Brandon Johnson voters in Chicago have. They have no respect for themselves. And it's just not something you can legislate. I don't think it's something that you can instill from the outside. Those individuals are just lost. Completely, utterly lost. By the way, I mean, just as a, box checking, to be fair and balanced and all that. We did have a Republican state legislator say something about this killing of the couple from Coles County. Chapin Rose from Muhammad. Excuse me. It's now been confirmed that the Clark County Sheriff has received an ICE detention order for the suspect in the horrific DUI accident that killed Coles County Board member Mike Clayton and his wife Gail, and also horribly injured two others Friday night. Yeah, I should have mentioned there were two others that were friends in the car of the Claytons, and they were severely injured too. I don't know what the condition is. I just have seen the reports that they were injured. So additional people victimized. Hopefully they'll be okay. Chapin Rose goes on to say, worse yet, under Illinois' idiotic laws that protect illegals and criminals over citizens, laws that Governor Pritzker refuses to fix, he champions. Don't be passive about it. He's a proponent of sanctuary state. He champions these laws. He champions open borders, despite what he says. He has no interest in seeing anyone removed from Illinois, despite what he says. All you have to do is watch what he does. Clark County Sheriff is not even allowed to enforce the ICE order to detain the suspect. How frustrating must that be for a county sheriff? You just had two people from a neighboring county killed, and you can't work with federal law enforcement to ensure that there's justice in this case. Chapin Rose, it is also totally ridiculous that the Illinois State Police have apparently been ordered not to release the citizenship status of the suspect, hiding the basic details of this tragedy from the public at large. Get right. But as Chapin Rose knows, because I'm sure he talked to law enforcement there, just as the Edgar County Watchdogs did, they know what time it is. You can find out if you want to find out if you're a press organization like that NBC affiliate that chose not to report the illegal status of the two illegal immigrants in that van. But the press corps in Chicago and all the other network affiliates in Illinois don't want to know. Or they know and they want to pretend not to know, of course. The Claytons, Chapin Rose goes on, are at least the 5th and 6th DUI-related deaths in East Central Illinois by an illegal in as many years. How many more have to die before Governor Pritzker stops worrying about being president and starts standing up for the actual citizens of Illinois? It's a great question. That's a great question. Somebody should put that to all of the voters in Illinois. How many more? Starting with in East Central Illinois, but it's a question for every resident of the state. Roger in DeKalb.
Hey, Dan. Yeah, of all the things I find despicable about the Democratic Party, the one that has always irritated my whole adult life is that they call me a racist because I don't vote for them or agree with their politics. So I am... I'm just going to get away from my radio. It's bugging me here. Sorry. And but a close second, of course, is they tell me how I think. Never meeting me, only because I oppose their policies, they can tell me how I think. I don't like it when Republicans do it. I really don't like it when Democrats tell me the motivations behind how I live my life. I mean, it's everything that a free society shouldn't be when these people tell you how you have to think. Have a great one, man.
Thanks for the call, Roger. And meanwhile, in states that do cooperate with federal law enforcement, you're able to accomplish things like this. This is down in Orange County, Florida.
They are dressed like landscapers, but Orange County deputies say they are criminals in disguise. Deputies say this drone video shows the crooks casing a home in Orlando before breaking in to steal designer shoes and handbags, each worth thousands. These pictures showed two suspects walking away a half hour later with bags full of Lee Trin's valuables.
The first time when I come to my house, when I saw the window break and my door open, and I feel like my heart jumped outside.
Deputies say the undocumented group of Colombian criminals specifically targeted the homes of Asian business owners. This report claims their crime spree spans Hillsborough, Osceola, and Orange counties. Deputies followed them Monday as the gang met up in Kissimmee and then drove separate cars to Orlando's heavily Asian Mills 50 neighborhood.
I don't know how they follow me. I can't even eat and sleep. Even now, I'm still nervous.
Investigators say the gang was sophisticated. They'd surveil a home for weeks before they'd hit. Deputies say they even used this hidden trail camera to learn their target's way of life, but it seems they didn't realize they were the ones being watched this week. Deputies say they're on video crawling out of the home and hopping into getaway cars. They thought they had gotten away with it and returned to their meetup point before deputies pounced. Now all 5 suspects are jailed in Osceola County with ICE detainers, and Lee Trin has her valuables back.
Yeah. Federal, state, local law enforcement busting a Colombian burglary ring that was targeting Asian American businesses. That's what public safety sounds like. Just because I know we're unfamiliar with it in Chicagoland, that's what it sounds like. And what does the other side offer? Well, you know what that sounds like, but it's not just here. In Arizona,
when ICE agents here in Avondale tried to stop a car with a man or 2 men that they were interested in. Homeland Security says this all started when those 2 officers tried to stop that car. They say the driver then kept going to their home, which is in this area here in Avondale. Homeland says when they got to that home, the 2 people in that car rammed into the officer's car. They got out and ran inside, which created this barricade situation. Now, eventually, ICE agents, we were told, arrested who they were looking for.
That's what ICE agents are dealing with on a daily basis because of all these politicians that have essentially green-lighted resisting arrest, or worse, targeting ICE agents. Is the choice stark enough? Any confusion? Jefferson and Saguenay.
Dan, top of the morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I had a question. So this Coles County judge and his wife that were killed in the accident. I don't know what county that was. I missed it, but
it was Clark County. Yeah, Clark County down in East Central Illinois.
Cannot the sheriff cite Section 1324 of Title 8 under the U.S. Code and say, hey, you know what? Regardless of what our law is in Illinois, I'm gonna honor the detainer.
Well, I mean, there's an argument to be made that sanctuary state designations are, obviously under the Supremacy Clause, do not supersede federal law. At the same time, there is no mandate for local and state law enforcement to work with federal law enforcement. So, I mean, this is the dance that everybody's doing is I'm not allowed to work with them and I'm not compelled under federal law to work with them, but I'm not allowed to interfere either. So to honor a detainer, to protect ICE officers or assist in their apprehending of persons of interest is to work with them, and I'm prohibited from working with them under state law, which is in a sort of legal limbo because it's not explicitly demanded by federal law. You see?
Okay. So I would venture to say that all he had to do is say, "Hey, I don't want to get arrested. I'm the sheriff. I swore to the Constitution. I'm handing this guy over. Be done with it."
Well, thanks for the call, Jefferson. I mean, I don't think he's not going to get arrested by state or local, and he's not going to get arrested by the feds. I mean, nobody's going to be arresting each other, one law enforcement agent to the other, over this legal limbo. Nobody wants to be the first mover there, which makes sense, frankly. I mean, because it's dubious authority, certainly with what Brandon Johnson and Pritzker are talking about, arresting federal law enforcement officers. They can't do that. They're just running their mouths to sound tough to their idiotic constituencies. But it's a tough spot. And for rank and file cops, which is why I gave, a tip of the cap to those Palatine officers in that instance we played earlier in the program. Because, your job's on the line, because this is all politics. So now, because because I'm a Palatine cop and I stepped in because a mob was forming while ICE agents were trying to bring a guy that was resisting arrest into custody, I stepped in to make sure the situation didn't get out of control. Nobody got hurt. Did I aid ICE agents? Am I going to get fired from my job because some state legislator calls the mayor and says, your police helped and I want those guys gone? I mean, the police are in a tough spot here. I mean, I appreciate that. Like I said, I think, 100% of the focus should be on the political ruling class. And again, the police and everyone else is party to the political ruling class that lords over Illinois. So you don't want to be in this legal limbo? You want to return to sanity? You want to live under policies that have some basis in rational thought? Well, then make some changes, for God's sakes. I mean, you got a state legislator, by the way. I just want to get to this, too, before I forget. You got a state rep, newly minted, represents like Lakeview, Old Town, Lincoln Park, some 30-something honky chick who's posting details on ICE agents' vehicles. She's not posting the plates. I think it was Libs of Chicago, got the screenshot on this one. State Representative Margaret Croke, Croke. It was Libs of TikTok actually got the drop on her. Updated list of ICE vehicles seen today, and she's posting them with all the numbers to call and this and that. She's not posting license plates. She's just posting descriptions of the vehicles and some indications of where they've been seen, which is, just a sort of a soft targeting of ICE officers, so these mobs and the quote-unquote whistleblowers that Pritzker's so proud of can run around and, make situations very touch and go. And by the way, her husband, Croke's husband, this is perfect. It's perfect Chicago. His name is Patrick Croke, Croke. He's a partner at a law firm, Croke, Fairchild, Duarte, and Barris. Guess who else is a partner at that firm? Jim Durkin, former House Republican super minority leader. Of course. One big happy family in the combine. And you wonder why there's no opposition party? What happened? The term 30 pieces of silver, does that mean anything to you? Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
What makes Hassleus Mattress different?
Aside from employee-free showrooms, free next-day delivery, and prices that are way too low?
Yeah, besides that.
Hassleus Mattress is locally owned and managed by the same family. So, your money stays right here. And through Monday, you'll get a $248 credit towards a new Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and Serta Perfect Sleeper just for shopping local.
Thanks.
For what?
For being different.
Find a no-hassle, employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
By the way, I understand that Rawful state legislator Croke sends her kids to Catholic school in the city. Of course she does. And I'm sure she's a loyal vote for the teachers' unions and against school choice, too, right? The hits just keep on coming, and they will. Until there is a response. Until there is a response. I mean, good grief. What does it take? Coming up at 6:36, now we will turn our attention to the latest in the government shutdown and the government unions getting a little squeamish about this going on much longer. 6:36, now check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The estranged husband of a woman who was found dead in the stairwell of his South Loop condo last year is set to be charged with her murder. Adam Beckerink was sentenced to 93 days in jail in Michigan last week after he pled no contest to domestic violence charges regarding Caitlin Tracy at her home in Michigan. Now a Cook County judge has issued a warrant for his arrest in her murder. A woman is in critical condition after being shot while inside her vehicle in the West Chatham neighborhood. Chicago police say the 26-year-old victim was was inside her car when a vehicle pulled alongside her and someone inside the vehicle began firing shots. The woman was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center for treatment. And a manager of the Laugh Factory in Chicago is due in court this afternoon. According to reports, Nathan Griffin is accused of assaulting a federal agent. Griffin was reportedly trying to prevent ICE agents from exiting their vehicle and close the vehicle's door, causing scrapes to the agent's legs. A crowdfunding campaign has raised more than $20,000 to assist in covering Griffin's legal fees. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Aid for Women, Breakthrough Ideas, and by Attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim, where we talk all things retirement. I'm here with my friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, what are the biggest expenses listeners will face in retirement? And please explain the process you take to address these expenses.
Well, Dan, most people think it's healthcare, and it is one of them. But the number one expense in retirement is actually taxes, and that needs to be addressed. Most people have put their money year after year in their tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and IRAs, and they have basically deferred their taxes for a long time. But they've created a tax time bomb, and they don't know it. And that's why we offer the Tax Impact Report.
Tim, so many of us lack a retirement tax plan. For your clients and customers, how do you help map out a tax plan in retirement?
Well, we start with the Tax Impact Report. Most people know how much money they saved for retirement, but they have no idea how much they'll be paying in taxes throughout their retirement. We will run them a report that shows if they default to the IRS's plan, what they will pay in taxes, or they can get ahead of it and mitigate those taxes by being proactive in their tax planning rather than reactive.
Tim, you advertise a complimentary risk assessment report of our listeners' portfolio. Explain what that is, what it reveals, and how AM 560 listeners can sign up for this report.
Dan, we found that many of our listeners do not understand how much risk they have in their underlying portfolio. The strong stock market has made investors lackadaisical in their approach to risk in their hard-earned portfolios. We can ascertain how much risk is actually in their portfolio, and most importantly, show them tools that can help mitigate that risk.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free risk report. That's 1-800-640-2256. Again, that's 800-640-2256. Tell them I sent you when you call 800-640-2256. Our veterans are our heroes. They answered the call to defend our freedom, putting their lives on the line for our nation. But today, thousands of these brave men and women are facing something no hero should ever face: food insecurity. That's where Farm to Veteran comes in. Through the Fulcrum Farm Foundation, this remarkable organization delivers farm-fresh, nutritious food directly to veterans in need through veteran services and organizations. From greenhouse-grown produce to eggs, they're ensuring our heroes have access to the high-quality food they deserve. But Farm to Veteran can't do it alone. They need our help. Your financial contribution directly supports their mission to feed more veterans across their growing network of partner farms nationwide. And there's another way you can make a difference. Join them at their upcoming community events. Visit farmtoveteran.com today. That's farm, the number 2, veteran.com, farmtoveteran.com, to donate or learn about events near you, because those who served our country shouldn't have to wonder where their next meal is coming from. Let's stand with those who stood for us. And to do so, support farmtoveteran.com. That's farm, the number 2, veteran.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
And the Team Hochberg Traffic Center still watching that earlier accident blocking the 2 left lanes if you're on the Stevenson inbound between Harlem and Pulaski Road. About a 25-minute backup in the area. An accident on the right shoulder on the Tri-State Tollway and southbound after Sibley Boulevard. That's at 147th Street. Watch out for minor delays in that area as well. The Eden's looking good. No delays inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose. About a 16-minute ride. The Kennedys, just some usual Tuesday morning traffic inbound between Nagle and Lawrence. About a 5-minute delay. It's going to take you about 9 minutes if you're inbound Kennedy from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. On the Ike, stop and go traffic inbound between Wolf and Des Plaines Avenue. The Dan Ryan's looking good. No issues there. The Bishop Ford, watch for stacking traffic if you're inbound between 103rd and the Dan Ryan Expressway. This report sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of that pesky check engine light for free and help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of the forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. By Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
By the way, just one postscript on Margaret Croak, the 30-something Raffle, daddy's little girl, state rep from Lakeview, Lincoln Park, Old Town. I understand from a friend who knows the Illinois political landscape that right now she is the favorite to win the neo-Marxist primary for state comptroller to replace Susanna Mendoza. Republicans even fielding a candidate? Of course she is. Of course she's going statewide. And a further comment. She's arguably the most moderate of the candidates in that race. I guess everyone else has paid their Antifa dues, and Margaret Croak still is in arrears. I mean, honestly. Hoo boy. Anybody want to take up the cause in Illinois? You at least have candidate for governor, candidate for Senate. Some downstate Republican office holders, if you want to try to make a mark. Okay. Turning our attention to the federal level, where things are going much better. I mean, talk about the lowest of bars. But the coalition that was in for the long haul standing in solidarity with one another. It was the 60s all over again. You remember?
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against George. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk.
Oh, which side are you on?
Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Trump's coming for our unions. He wants us all to fail. He wants us to bow to him, but we want him in jail.
Come on, everybody.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Yeah, tell me.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
You're You're welcome for that earworm. And, of course, they've been singing all the way through the shutdown until now. Till now. Again, what does it take? Unfortunately, what does it take? The infliction of pain. The American Federation of Government Employees, their national president, Everett Kelly. This week, Congress pushed our nation into the fourth week of a full government shutdown, an avoidable crisis that is harming families, communities, and the very institutions that hold our country together. Both political parties have made their point, and still there is no clear end in sight. Today, I'm making mine. Guy's actually in charge, offering a statement. I mean, at least he's in charge of that neo-Marxist opposition party. His statement, it's time to pass a clean continuing resolution and end this shutdown today. No half measures and no gamesmanship. Put every single federal worker back on the job with full back pay today. Oh, okay. The government union has spoken. Who on the left dare cross Everett Kelly and a government union? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Yeah. They were holding fast over the weekend, even as Trump got $130 million from the Mellon family to pay the military. Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, he was one of the more reliable hysterics for the Sunday talkies, on with Jake Tapper doing their little vaudeville act, and this is what he had to say. They were still talking tough as of Sunday.
Well, I think one of the reasons that President Trump is refusing to negotiate is because he likes the fact that the government is closed, because he thinks he can exercise king-like powers. He can open up the parts of the government that he wants. He can pay the employees who are loyal to him. I mean, this is a leader who is trying to transition our government from a democracy to something much closer to a totalitarian state. And so this is part of what happens in totalitarian states. The leader, the regime only decides what things get funded and what don't, often in coordination with their oligarch friends. So I just don't want to live in a world in which Donald Trump and a handful of billionaires decide which part of government works and which don't, which is why I would rather have him at the negotiating table tomorrow so that we can reopen the government and it can be a democratically elected Congress that decides what things get funded, not a handful of super rich dudes.
The democratically elected Congress did decide which things get funded. Both the House passed a continuing resolution, and the Senate could pass it if more than just John Fetterman would agree to pass it. Of course, I mean, again, making the factual argument is irrelevant to that side. I mean, they just have this, stop the oligarchy, no kings bilge that they spew with impunity until Everett Kelly weighs in and says, "Hey, Chris, it's Everett over at the Union Hall. Knock it off. I want my people back on the job. They need to get paid." Interesting moment. Oh boy. Susie, Northside.
Good morning. Hey, Dan, I'm hearing something about the reason for this shutdown is because insurance companies could lose billions. Could you maybe help me out with this? I don't quite understand it, but it's about insurance companies, and I wouldn't be surprised if these people aren't paid off. Thank you so much.
Insurance companies could lose billions? Thanks for the call, Susie. I mean, I assume that's the Obamacare subsidy argument. If the enhanced subsidies that were conferred a couple of years ago under Biden and expire at the end of the year, if they're not re-upped, then insurance companies would lose billions in terms of subsidies for the premiums that they can then inflate. That's what I assume. That's what is being referenced. I think, in terms of the American Federation of Government Employees, that's a very narrow interest, the government employees. But there are other constituencies that are about to feel some pain that may not be constituencies of the left, generally speaking, that may not be so persuaded by the argument that Catherine Clark made, the House Minority Whip, that, I know it's painful for people that may lose their SNAP benefits, for example, but this is the only leverage we have. We need the leverage. Well, I think some state dependents may not be so keen on the leverage argument. They want their government cheese. So, you created all these dependents. You better continue to underwrite them or they could get upset. And then, on the other side, in terms of just the point that Sean Duffy has been making all week, that air traffic controllers getting squeezed and there's some staffing shortages there, which are creating delays at airports and so forth. But that's not going to move Republicans. It's a clean CR or nothing. And now that the big federal government union has folded, I don't think the neo-Marxist Party is going to be far behind. I don't think they can hold out very much longer as their coalition phrase. Jordan, Antioch.
Morning, Dan. Yeah, that call from the phony union guy was a call to say, hey, we just checked the mail and we're not getting any dues in and we got light bills to pay.
That too.
That guy does not. And full disclosure, I've been in the union since I graduated high school. And I'm a Teamster now. I used to be a carpenter, local 250. And to be honest, I don't think you could pull a single one of us that would say there should be a teachers union, this public work, this government workers. These guys are all fake unions. They're not unions. They're just guys that stand around and bitch when they want to raise. And that's what this guy's doing. They got light bills to pay, and they need their paychecks and their lease money for their brand new Ford Expeditions. And they need that dues check, so they want them back to work. Sweet. So that's what that is. Have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Well, it's not just the federal government union, and it's not just John Fetterman. Jared Golden, who is Maine's only congresswoman, had an interview in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend. What they're doing is wrong, he said, about his party and this government shutdown. He said that they're falling prey, the leadership of his party, falling prey to the demands of far-left groups who want them to, quote, put on a show of their opposition to President Trump while hurting Americans in the process. So you're having some criticism coming from inside the House, and that's unusual for the left. They usually are much better at playing the role of useful idiots to the center mass of their party and, of course, the leadership of their party. Useful idiots in their own right are at the back of whatever parade has formed while they pretend to be at the front of it, leading it. Joe, Arlington Heights.
Good morning. Dan, what do you think of my theory that Democrats are doing this because they think it will help them in the upcoming elections, state elections like Virginia and New Jersey? And most everything they do is just about getting reelected, isn't it?
Well, 100%. 100%. I don't. Yeah, thanks for the call, Joe. I don't know how much it helps them in New Jersey. It may help them because of the concentration of federal workers in Northern Virginia. I think when they got into it, they probably thought they could win this battle with the rhetoric you heard from Chris Murphy there as a good example. I think that hasn't really turned out that way, which may be a lesson, hopefully is a lesson for Republicans to some extent, that most people do not have the running clock like CNN does on how long the government's been shut down, because it's not that material to their lives. That's the good news. It is the material to too many people's lives. That's the bad news. Yeah, I think they thought this would be a winner because blaming Republicans on government shutdowns usually is for them But in this case, like I said, with some Democrats initially voting against this, like Fetterman, speaking out against it, like Fetterman and Golden, and now the Federal Workers Union folding. A tougher argument to make. Plus, I think in this case, which Republicans don't often do, but they did effectively here, to middle the issue in terms of split the distribution of blame, so that basically it's a net non-event for them politically, is they made the argument. We pass a continuing resolution. They have this issue of Obamacare subsidies. We'll talk about Obamacare subsidies as soon as they pass a continuing resolution. But what we're not going to do is restore funding for all of their, pet leftist projects, from NPR to whatever, LGBTQ operas in South America and so forth. We're not doing that. Mike in Hammond.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, when the federal union rep said he wants full back pay for all these federal employees, does Trump have the authority not to pay these? They could be on unemployment right now if they're laid off. Now, it's not like the traffic controllers, they're working without pay. Yeah, give them their pay. Military, the same thing. But if you've got 2 million federal employees that really aren't needed, going to get back pay for this. That's ridiculous. They should be on unemployment right now if they're out or use their vacation pay or whatever. That's crazy.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Well, the other thing we'll find out when the dust settles is how many fewer federal employees we have, because Russ Vought has been moving to RIF thousands of federal employees, probably in the order of 10-ish. And that's, of course, being litigated, but I think they're going to win that litigation. So another impact on that federal union. They don't want to see more of that either. That's another piece of the subtext here. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. Venice, Florence, Naples, Genoa, Pavia, Milan, Pisa, Reggio. All cities you often see in a pizza box. One that I've never seen, though, is Ravenna. But it should be, as it has a special place in history as a city that preserved the best of the classical world. Located on the Adriatic in the northeast near Venice, Ravenna served as the capital of the weakened Western Empire after the sack of Rome by Alaric the Visigoth in 410 AD. The Emperor Valentinian III erred by trying to return to Rome 40 years later, which then made it a big target for the Vandals from North Africa, who basically destroyed the city in 455. The last Western emperor, the teen Romulus Augustulus, capitulated to the Germanic Odoacer in 476, who was then murdered by the Ostrogoth Theodoric in 493, whose reign proved surprisingly stabilizing and tolerant. Despite believing in Arianism and its idea that Christ the Son was lesser than God the Father, he worked well with several Catholic popes and ensured the Jews could worship as they chose. He also continued the legal traditions established in Rome and was a key transmitter of Western civilization going forward, all from the protection of the walled coastal city of Ravenna. In our time, our former leading cities have not been sacked, but disintegrated from within. Senators Joe McCarthy and Pat McCarran have been proven right, as our socialist-led blue cities have, in our own modern way, fallen like Rome. But is the rising Miami our own version of Ravenna? It once served as a millstone on Florida's political progress, producing huge vote totals for the Dems. But in the last few years, it has turned into a major part of Florida's Republican-led rejuvenation. New York, unfortunately, is weighed down by Gotham, but perhaps the rotten apple's likely election of the Marxist-Leninist Zoran Mamdani might be so obviously destructive that perhaps the state turns to Republican leadership in November 2026.
Very good, Frank. It's funny. I was deciding whether to go as Odovaker or Alaric the Visigoth for Halloween, and I settled on Alaric the Visigoth.
You like Alaric the Visigoth? He only really plundered Rome, whereas the Vandals just almost destroyed the city. Its population got cut in half after the 450s, down to 500,000. But you know who I'm going for Halloween this year? Max Zorin from View to a Kill.
Oh, really?
Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep saying, good. Right on schedule. That's all I'm going to do. Good.
That's the extent of your Walken impersonation. It's good. That's all you need. I mean, it's very good.
It is, yeah. Or I could also say, more cowbell. More cowbell.
Very good, Frank.
Him, right? Have a good one.
Yeah, very good as always. Thank you, Frank. Gordon Chang at 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
First, he met with American troops, then Japanese business leaders. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and President Trump is touting deals he's making.
The deals will create jobs and opportunity, wealth, tremendous wealth and security for both sides and for both sides of the Pacific.
The president said that at a business dinner in Tokyo after addressing troops on a U.S. aircraft carrier stationed in Japan with the new Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi.
So we're still awaiting some details on what agreements they reached. We know Japan is looking at buying Ford F-150s, for instance. Up next, the president is going to be on to South Korea, which is also struggling to make good on its $350 billion investment pledge that they struck to get a better tariff rate. It is likely that South Korea's leadership was watching how things went in Japan, and if they were smart, probably taking notes.
Now, in Japan, they're pledging to invest more than $500 billion into the U.S. Fox's Jackie Heinrich was there in Tokyo. Now, the president in South Korea will also meet with China's leader Xi Jinping and has suggested even a potential sit-down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Hurricane Melissa is closing in on Jamaica, where many are packed into shelters fearing the worst from the most powerful storm to ever hit Jamaica.
A Category 5 with winds packing maybe up to 175 miles per hour. By the time it makes its way up here, which is a northeast track after landfall, we will likely be in a Category 4 still as it exits the island of Jamaica.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in St. Anne Parish. In addition to wind damage, there's concern about storm surge and over 3 feet of rain causing mudslides and catastrophic flooding in Jamaica. A sheriff's deputy is being mourned the day after being murdered in San Bernardino County, California.
I don't even know what to say. We're embedded in sorrow. Unfortunately for our department, this has happened way too often.
Sheriff Shannon Dykes, the alleged gunman, crashed his motorcycle in a high-speed chase and is now hospitalized. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. We'll see sunny skies today with highs topping out around 59 degrees. It's now day 28 of the government shutdown, and the Trump administration is warning Americans that they could lose out on federal food benefits within days if members of the Democratic Party do not accept the Republican Party's plan to end the shutdown. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins joined the Will Cain Show to explain that some of the Democrats are to blame for workers who are not getting paid during the shutdown.
Chuck Schumer is still getting paid. AOC is still getting paid. The elected congressmen and women are still getting paid. Their security team's not getting paid. The Americans, the 42 million Americans who rely on SNAP, they're not going to get paid starting on Saturday. I mean, this is so incredible that we are at this point in American history.
Meanwhile, airports across the country, including Chicago's O'Hare International, have been experiencing delays and ground stops due to a shortage of traffic controllers who are being forced to work without receiving their paychecks. A man is in custody after being arrested for firing shots at officers during a car chase in the Jefferson Park neighborhood yesterday. There were no injuries reported, and investigation is continuing. U.S. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino is back in court today to answer questions about a federal immigration crackdown here in the Chicago area, which has produced more than 1,800 arrests and complaints of excessive force. That hearing comes after a judge ordered uniformed immigration agents to wear body cameras. That's the latest step in a lawsuit by news outlets and protesters who say federal agents used excessive force, including using tear gas during protests. News is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A Check of the Roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Lutheran Life Communities, Virago, and by Senior Helpers of Naperville.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. For too long, universities here have operated as islands, separate from their country, promoting junk thought and radical ideology. Thus, the Trump administration has proposed a funding compact for universities to receive federal dollars. This includes universities that host organizations supporting terrorist networks, universities hosting organizations that fight for the eradication of Western civilization and give admission to students from other countries who lead those organizations. The compact is common sense, calling for admissions based on objective criteria, support for a vibrant marketplace of ideas, civil discourse, non-discrimination in hiring, and institutional neutrality like other nonprofits. A number of universities are refusing. Why? They believe they should be entitled to your money even as they are contemptuous of your values, American values. Universities promoting and teaching ideas alien to the best human civilization can offer and using criteria alien to any notion of civil rights should end now. I'm Seth Leibson.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, still some issues we're looking at on the Stevenson inbound between Harlem and Pulaski. Still about a 15-minute delay due to an earlier accident, so make plans if you're headed that area. On the Tri-State Tollway, an accident blocking the right lane if you're northbound at Bensonville Bridge. Watch for stop-and-go traffic from North Avenue. Traffic is building on the Edens if you're outbound between Montrose and Cicero, about a 5-minute delay. Also 5-minute backup if you're on the Eisenhower outbound between Austin and Des Plaines Avenue. The Kennedys are looking okay so far. Inbound between I-90 and Cumberland, about a 5-minute backup due to an accident. It is stop and go Kennedy inbound, also between Costner and Fullerton Avenue. If you're on the Dan Ryans, it'll take you about 22 minutes if you're 95th to the Byrne interchange. Finally, the Jane Addams, stop and go if you're eastbound between Higgins Road and the River Road Toll Plaza. Traffic, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. For over 52 years, Woodland Windows has been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started today. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your QC Kinetics forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. By Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, previewing Trump's sit-down with Chinese Communist Party dictator Xi Jinping on Thursday. The Wall Street Journal has this to say. The president has done more to counter China's ambitions than many of his supporters and almost all of his critics understand. Hardcore MAGA supporters often hold a quasi-isolationist worldview that misses the significance of regional competition in Europe, the Middle East, and Latin America in the great game of U.S.-China relations. These observers see the Trump administration's Middle East and Venezuelan policies as distractions from the business of making America great again, but the destruction of Iran's bid for Middle Eastern hegemony boosts Trump's position vis-a-vis China. A definitive defeat of China and Russia's principal ally in the Western Hemisphere would similarly reverberate around the world. Both in the Middle East and in the Americas, Trump-era foreign policy aims to strengthen American dominance over fossil fuel markets. One can debate the means, but the objective is sound. Mr. Trump's many establishment critics can see no method in his madness, but when China and American leaders meet, Trump will have some solid accomplishments to bolster his position. Both Europe and Japan have turned a corner on defense spending, an accomplishment that has eluded every previous American president since the end of the Cold War. And out of the chaos of Trump's trade policies, last summer's agreements with Japan and South Korea and recent agreements with Southeast Asian partners seem to be entrenching an approach that, whatever its shortcomings, is acceptable to key American trading partners. While tempering expectations and understanding that some of this may be, sort of window dressing to keep up appearances so as to not rattle markets, Trump is not dealing from a position of weakness. And essentially, they're arguing the Chinese communists are hardly winning this square off with America. So let's not be overly pessimistic here, even though the situation remains problematic and complicated. For more on the topic, pleased to be joined by Gordon Chang. Well, I'll give his intro and then I'll tell you he's in town tonight. Gordon Chang is the author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America, as well as the Great U.S.-China Tech War. You can follow him on X at Gordon G. Chang, C-H-A-N-G. Gordon G. Chang is his X handle. And tonight, he is speaking at a fundraiser that Jeannie Ives and Breakthrough Ideas is hosting at Olympia Fields Country Club in Olympia Fields. I'm sure you can buy tickets at the door, breakthrough-ideas.com. You can also tickets there, breakthrough-ideas.com. And the fundraiser, all the proceeds from the fundraiser go to concerned citizens of Manteno, their legal fees in their ongoing lawsuit against Goshen, which is a Chinese communist-affiliated company under congressional investigation, and is being the attempted subsidization of Goshen to locate in Manteno by the state of Illinois under Governor Pritzker. So Pritzker and Xi are in business together, but the citizens of Manteno don't want any part of that business, and they don't want Goshen in their community. And by the way, Goshen tried a similar play in Michigan, and the deal up there is now dead. Governor Pritzker giving Goshen $536 million in taxpayer subsidies. So Gordon Chang at Olympia Fields tonight to talk about some of the topics we're going to discuss, but also specifically to help the cause of the residents of Manteno. Again, Breakthrough-Ideas, Jeannie Ives' organization, is the sponsor of this evening's festivities. Gordon Chang, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan.
Give us your frame on the tete-a-tete between Trump and Xi, what you would like to see Trump do, what is even possible for Trump to legitimately come away with here.
What President Trump is doing, it looks like he's negotiating a 1 year or so truce. And this means no additional 100% tariff. It also means the Chinese continue to sell rare earths to the United States and to buy American soybeans, and there will be a TikTok deal signed. Really, the important thing here is which country uses this 1 year better. And I think that's clearly the United States, because we have President Trump with all of these trade deals. He's isolating China. He's decreasing our dependence on China for rare earths with these arrangements with Australia, Japan, Malaysia, Thailand. And on the other side, China is doubling down on industrial policy, which is making China much more dependent on trade, which means it's much more dependent on the United States for its market. We represent about 34% of global consumer spending. China can't deal without us. So this is going to be a good year for America. In terms of where this deal is going afterwards, we just don't know. But the fundamental differences between China and the United States are so great that this truce probably is not going to last for more than a year.
And, despite the flowery rhetoric, which is Trump's want and Scott Bessent's want, too, you want to, as I said, sort of keep up appearances that we're, getting along, at least insofar as acting in the best interests of our countries respectively. And that means, coming to terms on trade so that we can not disrupt global supply chains too precipitously and so on and so forth. They want to sort of keep up this appearance, but I think what you're indicating is that it's strictly to keep up the appearance. Trump is under no delusions about who he's dealing with here.
Yeah, this is to buy time, and we need time in order to, for instance, get rare earths and also pharmaceuticals. We have a greater dependence on China for pharmaceuticals than we do on rare earths. So we need the time to do that. And when we think about China, last year they were behind the fentanyl gangs that resulted in 48,000 deaths in America. Those were not overdoses, Dan. Those were murders, because we know the Communist Party has been fully behind the fentanyl gangs. So we wouldn't have those deaths but for Chinese policy, and we've got to recognize that.
One other item that's a little bit below the fold, but EWTN asked President Trump about it, and it's something that's important to me, too, and I think a lot of Americans. You basically have the Chinese version of Solzhenitsyn in prison in China, and we want Jimmy Lai out of prison. And Trump, I think, would do well to raise this issue. And he told EWTN that he is going to raise the issue. I mean, he's been he's spoken out on behalf of Jimmy Lai before. What are the prospects of Trump negotiating a release of Jimmy Lai?
I think they're very good. And the reason is that China does not want Jimmy Lai to die in prison. He will be 78 soon. He's in obviously very poor health. Largely due to his imprisonment in Hong Kong. And really, we're going to see China try to offload him. So I think that we can get him out. And the important thing here is not just Jimmy Lai's future, but also the hundreds of Hong Kong dissidents who have been in prison, who are in prison right now. Once you get Jimmy out of prison, then it's possible to get the others out of prison as well. And President Trump, to his great credit, is doing a lot for that.
The region, you've got a new prime minister of Japan that is sort of being marketed as a Japanese version of the Iron Lady. We'll see. but she's speaking in sort of Japan first parlance. And seems to be fairly warm to President Trump. You've seen the warm reception he's received in Malaysia, South Korea. That's nothing new. The work he's done between Cambodia and Thailand to negotiate a peaceful coexistence between those two countries. What's happening in the region, do you think, in terms of isolating China within their own region? Is that a real thing, or do we still have a lot of work to do there?
Well, it is a real thing, and we have a lot of work to do because right now China is threatening, for instance, the Philippines with weekly belligerent acts, which one of them could easily spiral into a region-wide war. And so we have Japan working more closely with the United States. We have that really great diplomacy on Sunday with regard to Southeast Asia. We had the deals with Malaysia, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Thailand. These are really good developments for the U.S. The one development that isn't good is that we have a South Korean president who is very pro-China, very pro-North Korea, and who absolutely hates the United States. The fortunate thing is that the people of South Korea are increasingly in favor of America's relationship with South Korea, but its leadership right now is extremely leftist, and we have got a very difficult task keeping our relationship with South Korea.
So in addition to South Korea and obviously Russia, what relationship that China has most concerns you vis-a-vis America? I mean, for example, because of this this imbroglio between Trump and Canada over the ad they ran, and the ad that was run in Ontario during a World Series game, and then Trump raising tariffs on the baseline tariffs on Canadian products by another 10% in response. Not talking to PM Carney at this point, so Carney's over there talking to Xi. I mean, are there relationships like that concern you, or is there another one that maybe we're not attuned to that we should be?
Well, Venezuela. But, since you talked about Canada, this is really important because Carney, in response to what President Trump has been doing, could very well end up with a very close relationship with China. We do not need China on our northern border, and that's a very real possibility. And this is not good policy on the part of the Trump administration. We need our friends. We need a strong Canada, and we do not need a Canada that is closer to Beijing than it is to Washington.
What about Argentina with Milei's success in the legislative elections over the weekend, and the tightening relationship between Argentina and Trump, and also Milei's antipathy towards communists, just as a general rule, that helps a lot. Is that a key relationship, and is it time for Trump to, talk to Milei about, not selling to China and finding other markets for their ag products, for example?
Yes, but Milei is really important to the United States. Argentina broke what was called the pink wave, all of these countries voting in leftists, and Milei is the clear outlier on that. And actually, Milei, if he's successful in Argentina, can actually start a non-pink wave. And it's really important for the Trump administration for what it's been doing. So, kudos to the president for our relationship with Argentina, because he has really worked very hard to build those bonds. And that's really important for the United States, especially as President Trump pivots to the Western Hemisphere to make sure that our borders are safe.
Right, but then so what does he do vis-a-vis the relationship that Argentina has commercially with China?
Well, we're going to have to break that, and it's going to take some time because Argentina is not in a great condition right now. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, President Trump has done everything that it's possible that can be done with regard to Argentina. And Argentina, just by itself, is an important country in South America. But at this particular time, it's even more crucial.
You recently wrote about quote-unquote dark factories in China. What is your handle on the strength of the Chinese economy? But actually sort of the strengths and weaknesses, if you will.
Yeah, the strength is that they have their industrial powerhouse and they are well automated. What we're seeing right now, though, is a Chinese economy which is deepening into deflation. And deflation is an economy killer. We see this from even the official numbers that have come out. So, for instance, September was the 36th straight month of declines in the producer price index, which measures factory gate prices. There have been now 6 out of 9 months where the consumer price index is in negative territory. The Chinese economy is in very bad shape. And what makes it even worse is that Xi Jinping's policies are actually deepening the problems in China, pushing China further into deflation and basically making China more trade dependent. So really, the Chinese leadership is undermining China's ability to compete in the world.
So if China loses its ability to compete in the world, I mean, what do you think happens there? I mean, I hate to raise the prospect of this, but we're dealing with, a tyrant, and we understand, the history of tyrants in China. I mean, if things falter, does Xi set out on a purge of those not only within his party, but in the country in general, something on the order of the Glorious Revolution?
Yes, well, what's happening right now is there's a lot of turmoil at the top of the Communist Party, and Xi Jinping is in a weakened position. So this is a very bad situation. China is now trying to export its way out of problems. They'll be able to do well for a year or so, but after that, the world's going to resist them, and it's being led by President Trump in resisting the Chinese. I've got to run by, unfortunately. But
Gordon Chang, he's the author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America and the Great U.S.-China Tech War. Again, follow him on X at Gordon G. Chang. And by the way, that event tonight at Olympia Fields, where Gordon Chang is speaking, and the proceeds going to concerned citizens of Manteno in their fight against the Chinese Communist company Goshen locating a facility there. Get tickets at breakthrough-ideas.com. There are no tickets at the door, I am now told. So if you want to attend this fundraiser, 7 o'clock dinner tonight at Olympia Fields Country Club, breakthrough-ideas.com. And Gordon Chang joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, Dan Proft here. Data shows that boys make up more than 1/3 of those exploited in the sex trade. However, there are virtually no services available to male victims and survivors of trafficking and exploitation. They are often overlooked, ignored, and left without support. For 35 years, Emmaus has been on the front lines of an issue most of us can hardly imagine, helping men and boys in Chicago escape the nightmare of human trafficking and rebuild their lives. On November 1st, you're invited to attend an unforgettable evening at the Emmaus 35th Anniversary Gala at Fisherman's Inn in Elburn, Illinois. Together, they'll celebrate faith, freedom, and restoration with a beautifully catered dinner, an inspiring program, and a silent auction, all to support the mission of rescuing and restoring survivors. This is your chance to do something that truly matters. Reserve your seat today, or if you can't attend, make a life-changing donation at streets.org. That's streets.org. Emmaus is restoring lives. Let's help them keep going. Visit streets.org. Making the switch to a new IT services and support company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs every working day, well, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts and proud new sponsor of Chicago's Morning Answer. These are the guys you want to speak with. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for more than 30 years from their headquarters in the West Loop. They are local and in tune with Chicago businesses. Whether it's voice over IP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you and your business. They serve thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore. Again, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups, manufacturers, and many other business types. They will make the switch for you easier than you think. Call them today to discuss your business needs and tell them I sent you when you do. That number, 1-800-654-1555. Again, 800-654-1555. Or you can visit them online at access1inc.com. That's accessoneinc.com. Access One, tech made personally. Tech made personal, locally, that is.
When it comes to buying, selling, and investing in real estate, experience matters. Communication matters. Results matter. That's why you should call Tom Cunningham. Tom is a licensed real estate broker with eXp Realty with 25 years in the business. Clients trust Tom for his expertise, doing what he says, sometimes more, and making real estate simple again. He'll make your number one goal his number one goal, listening to your needs and bringing you excellent investment opportunities. Tom Cunningham lives by the Get by Giving philosophy, working hard toward a common good. For more, visit TomCRealty.com or call or text for a meeting, 708-369-7625. Remember, experience matters when it comes to buying, selling, and investing in real estate. Get the expertise of Tom Cunningham, eXp Realty. That's 708-369-7625, TomCRealty.com. Happy Days Cunningham makes sure you have the results you're looking for.
Well, that was a surprise. The HVAC tech just said our furnace apparently has a cracked heat exchanger, and it'll cost thousands.
Oh, you're kidding. He barely looked at it. Now he's pushing a huge repair? What should we do?
I don't really trust them. We need a second opinion. My brother Mark recommended Air Right Heating and Cooling. I looked them up and they seem legit. Great Google reviews. I'm sure they'd give us an honest assessment. He liked that they checked their carbon monoxide readings so he knows the air they're breathing is safe. And I guess it also gave a sense of how much life was left in their furnace.
I'd love that peace of mind. Plus, why spend a fortune on something we might not even need?
Get a second opinion from Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you and get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling right now at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim, where we talk all things retirement. I'm here with my friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, what are the biggest expenses listeners will face in retirement? And please explain the process you take to address these expenses.
Well, Dan, most people think it's healthcare, and it is one of them. But the number one expense in retirement is actually taxes, and that needs to be addressed. Most people have put their money year after year in their tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and IRAs, and they have basically deferred their taxes for a long time. But they've created a tax time bomb, and they don't know it. And that's why we offer the Tax Impact Report.
Tim, so many of us lack a retirement tax plan. For your clients and customers, how do you help map out a tax plan in retirement?
Well, we start with the Tax Impact Report. Most people know how much money they saved for retirement, but they have no idea how much they'll be paying in taxes throughout their retirement. We will run them a report that shows if they default to the IRS's plan, what they will pay in taxes, or they can get ahead of it and mitigate those taxes by being proactive in their tax planning rather than reactive.
Tim, you advertise a complimentary risk assessment report of our listeners' portfolio. Explain what that is, what it reveals, and how AM 560 listeners can sign up for this report.
Dan, we found that many of our listeners do not understand how much risk they have in their underlying portfolio. The strong stock market has made investors lackadaisical in their approach to risk in their hard-earned portfolios. We can ascertain how much risk is actually in their portfolio, and most importantly, show them tools that can help mitigate that risk.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free risk report. That's 1-800-640-2256. Again, that's 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call 800-640-2256.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:37, our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, formerly of wirepoints.org. Illinois policy and politics, starting with that couple killed in Clark County by an illegal driving drunk. That's where we'll start with Ted Dabrowski at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A flight from Chicago to Germany was diverted to Boston on Saturday after a man allegedly stabbed two teenage boys with a metal fork and slapped a female passenger. According to the Department of Justice, the suspect has been identified as a 28-year-old Indian national who was in the U.S. on an expired student visa. The man was arrested after the flight landed in Boston. He's been charged with assault with a dangerous weapon with intent to do bodily harm while traveling on an aircraft. That carries a sentence of up to 10 years and a $250,000 fine. The Harvey City Council held its first meeting since furloughing 69 employees due to its $100 million+ deficit. Mayor Christopher Clark has called upon the state of Illinois to assist the city with a bailout through the state's financially distressed city law. In the meantime, cities adjusted hours of city offices to accommodate the reduction in staffing. No word when those furloughed workers might be called back to their jobs. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A Check the Roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder explains what they want to open the government.
The Democrats want to put back $1.5 trillion in spending. They want to refund NPR, PBS, and they want to remove the protections in the Big Beautiful Bill Act that would prevent illegal aliens from getting Medicaid. They've always said, let's reopen the government and then we can negotiate our differences. Except they're not doing that this time because, well, Trump.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Last Friday night, Michael and Gail Clayton, driving in rural Clark County, Illinois, were killed when the truck they were driving in was struck by a van that crossed the center line and hit them head on. The van was driven by an illegal alien who was driving drunk. His passenger is also in the country illegally and was handed over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, according to sources. We've heard this story before. Denny McCann, Jeannie Brady, Katie Abraham, Chloe Polson, now Michael and Gail Clayton. Say their names, Governor Pritzker. Reportedly, the charges against the driver include no valid driver's license, operating an uninsured motor vehicle, illegal transportation of open alcohol, unlawful possession of cannabis, and driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. So many questions arise. Where did they get the money for a car? Where did they get the money for gas? How long have they been living in the U.S. illegally? Where do they live and work? Where did the drugs come from that were found on them? We won't likely get answers from the Pritzker administration. But we also deserve answers about the Nicaraguan illegal later Aruz Medina, accused of viciously attacking and raping a woman on the northwest side of Chicago. He allegedly grabbed the woman by the hair and dragged her screaming across the street into an alley. During the detention hearing, Assistant State's Attorney Mike Bacara said after strangling her, he then grabbed her by the hair with both hands and repeatedly slammed the back of her head into the concrete, causing her to lose consciousness. When she woke up, Aruz Medina was on top of her with his genitals exposed. Aruz Medina was first released into the country by the Biden administration in September 2024. But we should know how he sustained himself in Illinois for a year so he could then brutalize a vulnerable American woman. Instead of gambling in Vegas and denigrating ICE agents, Pritzker should be ridding our state of illegal aliens, killing, raping, and stealing from citizens. I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me on this station Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. My Slippers, only $39.98. Any color, any style. Regular $149.98. Now only $39.98. That's a $110 savings. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix and boom, you're missing a part. It's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay, and it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
For From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, traffic starting to build in certain spots, especially on the Ikes. On the Eisenhower inbound between 17th and Costner, about a 25-minute backup in the area. Watch there. The Kennedys brake lights are coming alive inbound between Costner and Fullerton Avenue, about an 8-minute backup. No major delays, but it is slow on the Edens outbound between Montrose and Cicero. On the Stevenson, got a 20-minute backup if you're inbound between Harlem and Pulaski. Plan for that. Also Stevenson inbound from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore, about a 28-minute backup. The Dan Ryan looking good inbound between 95th and 71st Street, but watch for an accident blocking the left lane on the Dan Ryan outbound between 75th and 79th. Finally, the Bishop Ford got some issues inbound between 111th and Dan Ryan, about a 6-minute delay due to stop-and-go traffic. This report sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows you want to spend less time shopping and more time on the job site. With bulk savings on select pro-trusted drywall and concrete mixes from Lowe's, you save big and you're always ready for the next job. Lowe's, we help, you save. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now check out that QC Kinetics forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. Friday will have intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, formerly of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Now a Republican candidate for governor in Illinois. TedForIllinois.com is the site. And again, I'm helping Ted's candidacy, so you can factor that in however you see fit. Our top story we talked about earlier in the program, the killing of a couple in Clark County, East Central Illinois. A Coles County board member named Mike Clayton and his wife Gail were killed by a person in this country illegally, driving drunk, with a passenger in his car, also here illegally, crossed the median line and hit Mike Clayton and his wife's car head on, killing them both and injuring two other people that were in the back seat of Clayton's car, ostensibly friends. Don't know the condition. Hopefully they will be all right. We'll update the condition of those individuals as we get information. State Senator Chapin Rose issued a statement on the topic because, of course, the network affiliate news down in central Illinois is not reporting that the individual responsible for the death of the Claytons is in this country illegally. Chapin Rose, it's now been confirmed that the Clark County Sheriff has received an ICE detention order for the suspect in the horrific DUI accident that killed Coles County board member Mike Clayton and his wife Gail, and also horribly injured two others Friday night. Worse yet, under Illinois' idiotic laws that protect illegals and criminals over citizens, laws that Governor Pritzker refuses to fix, the Clark County Sheriff is not even allowed to enforce the ICE order to detain the suspect. It is also totally ridiculous that the Illinois State Police have apparently been ordered not to release the citizenship status of the suspect, hiding the basic details of this tragedy from the public at large. The Claytons are at least the fifth and sixth DUI-related death in East Central Illinois by an illegal in as many years. How many more have to die before Governor Pritzker stops worrying about being president and starts standing up for the actual citizens of Illinois, asks State Senator Chapin Rose, Republican. Let's put the same question to Ted Dabrowski. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good. So your reaction to, the body count increasing by at least 2, tragically, the body count associated with Illinois being a sanctuary state?
Well, this is, I think, well put by Senator Rose. Asking the question, how many more people have to die? This becomes increasingly clear that Governor Pritzker and those who support the sanctuary policies are just making a huge mistake for Illinoisans. Of course, they don't feel like they're making a mistake. And this is what they like. They like the open borders. They like I don't want to say they like the chaos, but they like what's happening because it's the policies they support. I know I'm going in circles here, but we're seeing more and more people get killed. We're seeing more and more crime. Add that to the Safety Act and things like that, and we've got a kind of a chaos going on in Chicago, and in particular, the South Side and West Side, and it's going the wrong way. I mean, this is why we clearly need to get rid of the sanctuary state, get rid of sanctuary city ASAP, and then of course start enforcing the law and supporting our local police and federal authorities in getting these bad guys off the street.
As you're moving about the state, what are you hearing from law enforcement in particular, but just in general about this issue, since there really is a lot more engagement on it across the political spectrum than there has been in some time, in part because of the demagoguery of the left and in part because we knew this was going to be complicated because of the lawlessness of the left over the last 4 years, and that was particularly illustrated in sanctuary states like Illinois.
Well, yeah, as I drive around, I mean, clearly the number one issue across the state is property taxes. There's no doubt about that. The second is lack of job opportunity, but surprisingly, in some of the smaller areas, it's safety, and it's the Safety Act that they don't like. In some cities, it's not. Of course, it's not going to be murders because in some smaller areas, it's not murders, but what it is burglary, and that's been a big complaint. But I think overall, when I travel around, you would think that safety wouldn't be a top 3 issue, but it is in places like Peoria and Decatur. It comes up, and people want safety, and they see the chaos that's happening. They see the defiance of normalcy going on across the state, and not just by some of the population, but also by many of the politicians. They're defiant, and this is, of course, just feeding into the frenzy. And this, Governor Pritzker's words, him calling, federal law enforcement, tyrannical, and all the different words that's being used. It's just making things worse across the board.
Terrorists, racists, yeah, right. You issued a statement last week about CDLs too. I mean, since we had a tragedy with illegal, with improper CDL, with a fraudulent CDL 3 decades ago. Obviously, talking about the Reverend Scott and Janet Willis family and the loss of life there. This has also got renewed scrutiny because of the illegal alien truck drivers that have killed in Florida and in California. And what do we do about that here?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is all, it all starts to add up. Wherever you have lawlessness like this, it starts showing up everywhere. And now you're talking about illegal immigrants driving these, huge, massive trucks, which are basically, killing machines if they're not used correctly. And we're seeing that happen. We just saw the second big accident, if you want to call it that, of an illegal immigrant killing 3 more people. And it begs the question, what's happening with CDLs or commercial driver's licenses here in Illinois? We're a hub for the whole country of people driving through our state. Do we know who's driving through our state? Can they speak English? And that's a big question. Are they legal? Are they well trained? And I think I just saw the article of somebody failing their CDL test 10 times before they finally got it, and that same person couldn't speak English well. So this is a big issue, and because we're Illinois and we're smack in the center of the country, we better have control over who's driving in our state. And it begs a question to Governor Pritzker and the authorities he oversees. do they know who's on our streets? Are they legal? Are they able to read road signs? And these are big questions. And again, it all ties back into the sanctuary state and sanctuary city status of our that they follow.
Well, I mean, so as governor, what would you do about it? I mean, we have the full faith and credit clause, so that a CDL license in California is good in Illinois. Now they're both sanctuary states, but I mean, the same goes. So what do we do about the licenses both that we issue as a state, as well as the licenses that people use to drive in Illinois that were conferred by another state, particularly a sanctuary state?
Well, yeah, I think we just follow always a good example. Follow Florida. Florida's AG is suing California and Washington in the Supreme Court to prevent those states from issuing CDLs to illegal immigrants. We could be doing the same thing. We should be aggressive against those states. Of course, as a governor, we have to, of course, also make sure that we're not in Illinois issuing CDLs to illegal immigrants. So we should outlaw that here, and then make sure that other states aren't doing the same thing and sending trucks through our state.
Yeah, I mean, so under Pritzker, I and this political ruling class, I assume it's not dissimilar to Gavin Newsom's California, where nobody's asking if you're here legally or not, or maybe you're having people fail the driving test or the recognition of traffic signals test, the written test as well, and recognition of traffic signals. So, I mean, somebody has to look at what has already occurred. It's sort of like somebody's got to clean up this probable mess, right? It doesn't seem like Alexi Giannoulias is going to be on the job.
Well, he's not. He's actually on the other side as well. And, they're saying that, and I don't know if it's a number for California, for statewide, if nationwide, I heard both, but there's 60,000 CDLs issued to
in California.
Immigrants.
Yeah, just in California.
Yeah. If it's just in California, then imagine the number in the country. And so they're going to be on our roads. Of course, I'm sure Governor Pritzker and Giannoulias will be complicit in that. And, again, this is kind of common sense stuff that just needs to be unwound. I mean, I think it's pretty simple. It just means change the government leadership, and you get a change in the policy to get something more normal.
Ted Dabrowski, Republican candidate for governor this cycle. You can get more information about his candidacy, tedforillinois.com, tedforillinois.com. Ted, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dan.
And he joined us in the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call.
Is your company's cybersecurity ready to handle today's cyber attacks? Some companies never recover due to the fallout. Listen to this. In 2021, a ransomware group called DarkSide gained access to Colonial Pipeline through a compromised password. The impact? $4.4 million paid in ransom. In 2017, Equifax had a massive breach which ended up costing over $700 million in settlements. Large companies from Target, Yahoo, to small businesses, including medical practices, have suffered major losses due to cyber attacks. Many have had to close their doors. Access One is here to protect your business 24/7. Cybersecurity isn't just about IT. It's about protecting your survival and customer trust. If you're concerned about your cybersecurity, get a free baseline cybersecurity assessment from AM560 sponsor Access One. Call 1-800-654-1555 or fill out the contact form at accessoneinc.com. Access One has been protecting Chicago businesses for 3 decades. That's 1-800-654-1555 or accessoneinc.com.
Rashaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way that have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dream to do.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Honey, why does it take you so long to get ready?
Because I've got one tiny sink. I'm trying to balance makeup on the back of the toilet, and the mirror's always fogged up.
Sounds like a circus act.
Exactly. And I perform every morning.
At Forever Remodeling, we create bathrooms that fit your life, not the other way around. From extra storage to spa-like showers and timeless finishes, we make your mornings easier. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. All right, Instagram star Dave Swirsky, he of the Bears parody songs after every Bears game. And, of course, a loss to the Ravens. This was his creative expression to comment on that loss on Sunday. Dave Swirsky, take it away.
Penalties are winning games. Help the scout team QB beat us Sunday. They started Huntley, which hit our hopes high. But the Bears, they couldn't finish drives.
Very good.
Penalties, there's flags all around. And the red zone offense keeps on letting us down. The defense was crippy due to injuries. Momentum it skids, the Bears fall, now down to 4-3. Holding penalty, false start, another penalty, intentional grounding penalty, illegal formation, another penalty, intentional grounding, one more penalty, long block, oh just one more penalty, false start, encroachment.
I think Jimi Hendrix would have been proud of that rendition. I wonder if Swirsky does any, I mean, that's original composition, obviously, but any original songs, too, like pop-type songs. Anyway, pretty good. I like the choice. And he's certainly right. But as soon as they were 2 drives in the red zone and they get 2 field goals out of it, I had a sneaking suspicion it was going to be Derrick Henry's and the Ravens' day, and it was. Justin Fields, now, on the other hand, he got the Jets off the schneid after he took heat from the owner of the Jets, and he was allegedly going to be benched. Then they started anyway and come from behind victory against the Bengals to get the Jets their first win. But again, I don't know. I don't know what you think about Caleb Williams, but it feels like Justin Fields redux. It really does. And some of what Dave Swirsky was singing about with penalties, and particularly for like intentional grounding, holding the ball too long, those sorts of things. They're nagging. I don't know how much Ben Johnson can do with Caleb Williams. The project continues. Coming up at 8:08, it's getting wackier and wackier in New York City with Mamdani. Female rabbis for Mamdani at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock, AM 560 WIZ.
He's making deals in Tokyo. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Japan's going to be investing $550 billion into the United States.
That was President Trump addressing business leaders at a dinner after he took Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, with him on a U.S. aircraft carrier, talking to American troops stationed there.
This woman is a winner, so, we've become very close friends all of a sudden.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports from Tokyo.
The two leaders also signed a framework agreement to ramp up mining and production of rare earth minerals, similar to a deal the U.S. just signed with Australia. Focus on rare earths is becoming a critical initiative after China tried to gain the upper hand in trade talks by throttling exports, effectively imposing control over the world's technology transactions.
Now, the president will meet with China's leader on the last stop of his Asian trip, South Korea. Hurricane Melissa is already being felt in Jamaica. The storm will be the most powerful one to ever hit the island. It's a Category 5 with 175-mile-an-hour winds. The eye will make landfall later this morning. House Republicans are calling for executive actions President Biden signed with the auto pen be voided.
In letters to the Department of Justice and D.C. Board of Medicine, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is demanding both conduct comprehensive investigations. Committee Republicans allege the former president's doctor, Kevin O'Connor, was complicit in a medical cover-up of President Biden's mental and cognitive deterioration.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. It's day 28 of the government shutdown, and another vote on funding could fail at the end to end the standoff at the Senate. Congressman Ro Khanna, a Democrat, tells Fox Business the Republican House Speaker could help ease some pain.
If he called Congress back in session and he said put up a clean bill to pay the troops and pay essential federal workers, you would get a lot of Democrats voting for it, and it would pass.
So a similar bill in the Senate last week was blocked by Democrats, who keep demanding any funding bill to reopen the government must include an extension of Obamacare tax credits that are going to expire at the end of the year. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 48 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The Supreme Court is still considering President Donald Trump's request to allow him to deploy National Guard troops here in Chicago as judges consider similar requests in other Democratic-led cities across the country. Speaking to troops on board the USS George Washington, which is docked in Japan, the president continues to push for deployment.
We're sending in our National Guard, and if we need more than the National Guard, we'll send more than the National Guard, because we're going to have safe cities. We're not going to have people killed in our cities, and whether people like that or not.
Several lower court judges have ruled that the president exceeded his authority, finding that there's little evidence to justify an emergency declaration. Local officials have cited falling crime statistics in questioning those deployments. A flight from Chicago to Germany was diverted to Boston on Saturday after a man allegedly stabbed 2 teenage boys with a metal fork and slapped a female passenger. According to the Department of Justice, the suspect has been identified as a 28-year-old Indian national who was in the U.S. on an expired student visa. The man was arrested after the flight landed in Boston. He's been charged with assault with a dangerous weapon with intent to do bodily harm while traveling on an aircraft. That carries a sentence of up to 10 years and a $250,000 fine. The estranged husband of a woman who was found dead in the stairwell of his South Loop condo last year is set to be charged with her murder. Last week, Adam Beckerink was in a Michigan courthouse where he pleaded no contest to domestic violence charges regarding Caitlin Tracy at her home in Michigan. He was sentenced to 93 days in jail in Michigan, and now a Cook County judge has issued a warrant for his arrest in her murder. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the rose is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
UPS shares are up 12%. Its profit declined from a year ago, but the shipping giant is holding up better than expected, and UPS says it is well positioned to navigate the peak holiday shopping season. Thousands of people at Amazon are losing their jobs. The shopping and tech giant is cutting 14,000 corporate staff. The layoffs going out today are across human resources, advertising, business units, and cloud computing. Companies are stepping up spending on artificial intelligence, which means they're looking for ways to cut costs elsewhere. Royal Caribbean shares down 8%. Even though its earnings were upbeat, the cruise company is increasing its forecast for the year, though Wall Street was expecting that to be even more optimistic. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest and Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Naumann and Associates, Scott Tucker Solutions Incorporated, and by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
I've been screwing up all the chores at home.
Hey, we all make mistakes.
But darn it, my wife still isn't mad at me.
You want her to be mad?
Yeah, so I can sleep on the James sofa from Penny Mustard.
With the extra deep seats.
And ultra high density foam cushions.
You're messing up on purpose so you can sleep on the James sofa?
I gotta admit, it's a pretty good plan.
The James sofa, starting at $22.96 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
From the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, minor delays on the Edens. It's building traffic on the outbound between Montrose and Niles Center Road. About a 5-minute backup there. The Kennedy is looking good. Inbound from Canfield to Montrose, about a 5-minute backup. 13-minute delay if you're inbound Kennedy from O'Hare to the Byrne interchange. We've got some delays in the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, about a 30-minute ride thanks to a 15-minute backup. 17-minute backup if you're outbound Ike from the old post office to Wolf. On the Stevenson, typical slowdown on the inbound lanes between Central and Western Avenue, about a 12-minute backup. Brake lights are coming alive on the Stevenson outbound from DuSable Lakeshore to the Tri-State. On the Dan Ryan inbound, about an 18-minute ride if you're 95th to the Byrne interchange. Finally, DuSable Lakeshore, no major issues. Traffic is slow southbound between Fullerton and the Oak Street curve. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at almostfreeteeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now check out that QC Kinetics weather forecast from the National
Today will be
Weather
mostly
Service.
cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. By Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. It's getting really wacky in New York City, and that's saying something in the closing days here before next week's mayoral election. And for those who have seen the headlines, Cuomo's closing, it's within 10 points. Yeah, he's closing as the entirety of the neo-Marxist party is rallying behind Mamdani. Literally. You had AOC and the governor, Kathy Hochul, at his rally over the weekend. Good God, to Kathy Hochul. But before we even get there, the Mamdani himself, in his press conference to call out Islamophobia, real tearjerker, where he recalled that his aunt, post 9/11, was afraid to wear her hijab on the New York City subway, and that to be Muslim in New York is to be disrespected, or words to that effect. Yeah, the real tragedy of 9/11 was his aunt feeling that she couldn't wear her hijab on public transportation, which may be apocryphal. It's a little bit more than a little bit ridiculous, but obviously Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, endorsed Mamdani too, by the way. They're all folding in, and there's something about that I want to get to. But first of all, as we find out, his aunt wasn't even his aunt, actually. It was his father's cousin, not that it makes a material difference. But Cuomo tried to make that point, which is a idiosyncratic one, frankly, and this was Mamdani's response.
How will you respond to President Trump?
Recently, in a recent address about Islamophobia, you referenced your aunt and some of the harassment she was facing post 9/11. Is that a blood relative? Mm-hmm. Yes, I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about Zehra Fouhi, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo and his inability to reckon with a crisis of his own.
Yes, the Islamophobia crisis in New York City, that is the preeminent problem in New York. And by the way, it's such an odd thing to say when the supermajority of voters are of the party to which you affiliate. It's not a thing to say, but okay, sure. And let's just take a step back, too, and just refresh our recollection of Mamdani. If you haven't heard some of his best work, and where it comes from, too, who's a major influencer, and that would be his dad, the good professor, Mahmoud Mamdani, professor at Columbia. These are hardcore Marxist ideologues. And I know it's been said, but you really should hear it in their own words. And I know the reality is that maybe some of it will be tempered, at least temporarily, by the political and economic realities of New York City. But, don't expect political and economic realities of New York City to go unchallenged in pursuit of policies consistent with the ideology here. We're seeing it in Chicago. We're seeing a lot of things that are done despite political and economic realities, aren't we? They can recreate the world in the image they desire. These are people who are going to create heaven on earth, the most dangerous people there are. Here's Mamdani when he was really feeling his oats, talking about the full embrace of socialist philosophy to other socialists.
But I sincerely believe in this political project. I sincerely believe in socialism. For me, it was Palestine that brought me into this movement. It is it can be such a lonely experience to be a socialist, and it was for me, country, because my journey, as Oren alluded to it and referred to, in organizing began at my college campus with Students for Justice in Palestine. To power this journey and understanding that it is socialism that we are fighting for this moment right now, right? If we're talking about the cancellation of student debt, if we're talking about Medicare for all, these are issues which have the groundswell of popular support across this country. But then there are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it is the end goal of seizing the means of production.
The end goal of seizing the means of production, yeah. I mean, that's straight out of Das Kapital, isn't it? The end goal of seizing the means of production, well, you're going to need to, and you're going to need to redistribute it fast if you're going to have free bus rides and rent subsidies and free child care and everything else that he promises will be free, with just an incremental bump for the 1%ers. Sure. Okay. Where does he get it from? Here's dear old dad.
America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. And the American model was exported all around the world. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized. Second thing Hitler realized is that you don't have to have a common citizenship. You can differentiate between people. The Nuremberg laws were patterned after American laws. Anyway, the U.S. put Indians in reservations. The U.S. invented the model.
So Lincoln was Hitler's inspiration. Mahmoud also wrote a few years after 9/11, clearly the prime objective of the suicide bomber is not to terminate his or her own life, but that of others to find his enemies. We need to recognize the suicide bomber first and foremost as a category of soldier. Does not the suicide bomber join both aspects of our humanity, particularly as it has been fashioned by political modernity, in that we are willing to subordinate life, both our own and that of others, to objectives we consider higher than life? Suicide bombing needs to be understood as a feature of modern political violence rather than stigmatized as a mark of barbarism. That's a impassioned defense of suicide bombing and how it's perceived. Boy, that's really an interesting position to stake out, to try to destigmatize suicide bombing. And just a few years after 9/11, too. It's an interesting family that you got there about to take over New York. And, oh, man, the support that it's attracting. Female rabbis for Mamdani. I'm not kidding. And one of the female rabbis, as I think you'll be able to pick out from The Voice, is just play acting female.
Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi, Rabbi. Hi.
We're among the thousands of Jewish New Yorkers who've been out door knocking and phone banking to elect Zohran Mamdani. We're also rabbis.
We know Zohran will fight to make our city affordable and safe for our families.
And for our neighbors of all faiths and backgrounds. As New Yorkers, we're also just people who live here,
who don't want to get priced out of this incredible city that we call home.
We know fellow Jews want to be able to afford housing, transportation, and childcare for their families, too.
As Jews, as rabbis, as New Yorkers, we believe that all people deserve to thrive. Zohran agrees.
But let's get real. This isn't only about belief. It's about action.
So let's build a flourishing city.
Together, let's elect Zohran. Zohran!
Jewish rabbis against Judaism. That's an interesting cohort of the electorate. Will and Skokie are on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Rich Lowry had a great article in National Review the other day talking about how the progressives tend to ratchet up stuff. They'll do a little bit, and then that'll be okay. Then they'll do a little bit more, and that'll be okay. And how Trump is setting it up where he's just going right for the throat, where he's stopping the ratchetism with, like, women in combat versus, lowering the physical standards that you have to have for the military. All kinds of things. Very good read. You should check it out.
Thanks for the call, Will. Kathy Hochul, the governor, she was at the Mamdani rally. Not well received. And by the way, just to show you how soulless these politicians are, she's there out of fear, basically. Fear for her own political survival next year, particularly if Elise Stefanik does run. She has endorsed Mamdani. Mamdani has not returned the favor. She's there to genuflect before this guy and his supporters. And they know it. They know it. They know that she's a cardboard cutout human being. So it didn't go great for her. Can you make out what they're saying? Tax the rich. That's what they're saying, yes.
I can hear you. But here's, my friends, you want to see Zohran or not? Listen,
she's the
I got
fluffer.
one plea for you. I love to see this energy and this passion. And for those of you who've not been involved in the voting or even campaigns before, I am so excited about what is going on here. But I need you to do something. All right, one more thing, my friend. This is about this November's election. Take that energy, that passion, and take it into 26 so that we can take back the House of Representatives, take the Senate, and take back our country. With your help, we will. Elect Zohran, we take back America. Thank you, Queens. Thank you, New York. I love you guys.
Yeah. You were this close to being Robespierre there, Hochul. Good thing you got to the applause line. And amid their chanting, tax the rich, and then booing her, this is what she said she thought they were saying in a moment after with a staffer.
I thought they were saying "Let's go Bills." I wasn't sure. When you're up there, I heard some noise. I heard a lot of cheers.
Yeah, let's go Brandon Redux.
All of our partners. Oh my God, such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me you can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, all right. Oh boy. Kathy Hochul's "Let's go Brandon" moment. Let's go Bills. I mean, I hope Lisa Stefanik has fun with that. Oh man, good stuff, isn't it? It's going very well in New York City, but here's the point. There's a good piece in the American Prospect. You got to read the leftist rag so you know how they're thinking. David Dayen, American Prospect is left if you're not familiar with it. Politicians aren't heroes. Well, I agree with that. Ideas matter. If the public is moved to support them, the politicians will come along. This is what's happening. To the empty vessels like Kathy Hochul or to Jelly Belly Pritzker, this what is described herein is happening, but it's also a real feature of the left because they're collectivist in orientation. Seth Moulton is not a progressive. He'll tell you that himself. He's a new Democrat coalition member. He rather prominently picked a fight by opposing trans participation in youth sports right after the 24 election. Generally down the line, center-left Democrat. I mean, according to somebody who's hard-left. Yet the moment he jumped into a U.S. Senate primary against Ed Markey, this is Massachusetts, of course, he essentially kicked off his campaign with the announcement that he would be returning all donations from AIPAC. He would refuse any further contributions from them. He criticized Netanyahu, of course. This is far from an isolated incident, writes Dan. Mallory McMora, running for Senate in Michigan, called Israel's war on Gaza genocide, and after appearing to solicit support from AIPAC and leaked message, she said she would not accept any. Like the 2028 candidate Pete Buttigieg flipped to support limiting arms sales to Israel, joining multiple former recipients of AIPAC cash. Polling shows Americans oppose military aid to Israel and sympathizing more with the Palestinians, but the numbers among Democrats, 50-4 to 13 in favor of Palestine. This is at all levels of the party, including older voters. So unfolding events move the center of gravity on this issue and force all factions of the Democratic Party to its side. It didn't happen in a vacuum, though. For all the discomfort over college students protesting on college campuses, discomfort, it played a major role in pushing attention and changing minds. Yes, they cowered all of those on the left to go full Students for Justice in Palestine, to go full anti-Semitism, frankly. And that's what they're doing. They're just sort of soft-pedaling at those who are not really, are just sort of soft-pedaling because they have to. They're like Kathy Hochul. They're afraid of what will happen if they don't. I'm reminded of, he goes on to say, look, it would be incorrect to say that politicians don't matter. They most certainly do, but they matter less than people may think and are often better seen as instruments of power. Well, I always say politicians are just the means to policy ends, but he means something a little bit different. Moving politicians to care about important issues is more durable and a proven avenue to political change than going about the thankless task of trying to install politicians in every position that matters who are perfect representations of your beliefs. And he goes on to talk about Graham Plantner, that wreck of a Senate candidate in Maine. And he's like, I don't care about his neo-Nazi tattoo or what he said on Reddit. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that he is aligned on those issues and that he is properly observant to the agenda that is being put forth by the loudest and most intemperate and most organized, there's the key, element of the party, an element that's become center mass. He goes on to say, for example, that other people who are more, like Fetterman, will move if you demand they move, and have to change their view. Well, will move in the direction where the party is, too. And so this is what you've seen happen with Mamdani over the last several months. You may see the recent controversies as relevant to Plattner's sincerity, which are important judgments that all voters make. But it is more relevant that Plattner is aligned with the revolutionaries' positions. That's all that matters. If someone's past or their temperament means they can't win election or effectively govern, I'm not going to spend time making apologies for them. But Tina Smith was an excellent senator after Al Franken. Nobody is indispensable. The endless gauntlet of Oppo research and response isn't what a mature political movement spends its energy on. Changing the territory where any politician, friend or foe, feels comfortable is incredibly underrated. That's a good use of time for anyone who wants to see a better America. And that's what they're doing. They're inviting the Kathy Hochul's and the Hakeem Jeffries over, saying this is where you have to be in order to win, with candidates that are ascendant, and then you just see that replicate itself around the country. But you see Jacob Fry fighting for his life in Minneapolis against Omar Fateh, and you see this this radical Wilson chick, and the incumbent Bruce Harrell fighting for his life in Seattle against this radical. But it's like I'm not radical enough, but they're always pulling and forcing adherence to orthodoxy, and any deviation from the orthodoxy, then you're persona non grata. So it's that essentially ability to impose discipline that moves all these candidates to places where they weren't. It's what I said sort of earlier in the show. The politicians like to pretend they're leading, because, they're supposed to be leaders. They're supposed to be thought leaders, leading the parade. But in point of fact, they're forming at the back of the parade and doing the things that they need to do to stay on the float, if you will. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, it sounded like a rock concert where the Rolling Stones had the Hells Angels do the security, and we know how that happened. I can't wait to see what happens once the dog catches the car. Are these guys going to be able to govern out in New York? It's going to be a disaster.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we'll continue our conversation about the next Tuesday's elections, New York, Virginia, New Jersey. Also fold in something that Michael Schellenberger said about the Trump presidency that I found interesting. Ed Morrissey from HotAir.com joins us at 8:38 to discuss. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 50 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The Harvey City Council held its first meeting since furloughing 69 employees due to its $100 million plus deficit. Mayor Christopher Clark has called upon the state of Illinois to assist the city with a bailout through the state's financially distressed city law. In the meantime, city has adjusted hours of city offices to accommodate the reduction in staffing. No word on when those furloughed workers might be called back to their jobs. A woman is in critical condition after being shot while inside her vehicle in the West Chatham neighborhood. Chicago police say the 26-year-old victim was inside her car when a vehicle pulled alongside and someone inside the car began firing shots. The woman was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center for treatment. And as the partial government shutdown rolls into day 28, several programs Chicagoans rely on are at risk for being closed down. Should that shutdown go past Friday, SNAP benefits and Head Start are targeted for closure. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt pleads to the Democrats.
Tens of thousands of federal workers will be laid off and they will not be rehired if the Chuck Schumer shutdown continues. So if I were a government union representative, I would be on the phone to Senator Schumer, ask him to make his remarks brief, to the point, and reopen the government.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim, where we talk all things retirement. I'm here with my friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, what are the biggest expenses listeners will face in retirement? And please explain the process you take to address these expenses.
Well, Dan, most people think it's healthcare, and it is one of them. But the number one expense in retirement is actually taxes, and that needs to be addressed. Most people have put their money year after year in their tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and IRAs, and they have basically deferred their taxes for a long time. But they've created a tax time bomb, and they don't know it. And that's why we offer the Tax Impact Report.
Tim, so many of us lack a retirement tax plan. For your clients and customers, how do you help map out a tax plan in retirement?
Well, we start with the Tax Impact Report. Most people know how much money they saved for retirement, but they have no idea how much they'll be paying in taxes throughout their retirement. We will run them a report that shows if they default to the IRS's plan, what they will pay in taxes, or they can get ahead of it and mitigate those taxes by being proactive in their tax planning rather than reactive.
Tim, you advertise a complimentary risk assessment report of our listeners' portfolio. Explain what that is, what it reveals, and how AM 560 listeners can sign up for this report.
Dan, we found that many of our listeners do not understand how much risk they have in their underlying portfolio. The strong stock market has made investors lackadaisical in their approach to risk in their hard-earned portfolios. We can ascertain how much risk is actually in their portfolio, and most importantly, show them tools that can help mitigate that risk.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free risk report. That's 1-800-640-2256. Again, that's 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call 800-640-2256.
As the seasons change, so does the worry. The flu, cold, and COVID season is coming, making a lot of people feel anxious. But what if you don't have to feel that way? My name is Dr. Michael Huber, one of the developers of Virago, the liquid immune enhancement cocktail. Virago was formulated in a liquid to enhance absorption and provide a rapid response. Comprised of 23 natural ingredients chosen for their synergistic properties, it gives your immune system the boost it needs to fight whatever virus is out there. So with the Virago Boost, you can face the coming flu season feeling confident that you are protected. With Virago, you're not fighting the seasons, you're ready for them. Virago, power to defend. Maha starts with Virago.
Order your bottle of Virago online today. Visit myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. That's myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. All right, traffic stacking on DuSable Lakeshore this morning, northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood. Watch the Eden Spurs southbound between Waukegan and Eden's Expressway. It's stop and go there. On the Eisenhower, got a 31-minute backup if you're inbound between Oak Park and Ashland Avenue. The Kennedy's got our usual sticky spots outbound between Montrose and Harlem, about a 15-minute delay. Also, Kennedy inbound between Canfield and Central, about a 5-minute backup. The Stevenson still stacked up inbound between Harlem and Western Avenue, about a 30-minute delay in that area. Some other spots at Tri-State Tollway looking at backups northbound between 75th and Hinsdale Oasis. The Dan Ryan local lanes are slow inbound between 51st and Roosevelt. And the Jane Addams looking good if you're eastbound between Route 25 and Barrington Road. This report sponsored by Staples. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $125 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends November 1st. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples. I'm John Cruz. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of that QC Kinetics weather forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy and breezy with a high of 59. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and breezy conditions with a low of 46. Tomorrow will be cloudy and windy, reaching a high of 54. Thursday will also be cloudy and windy with a high of 55. Friday will have intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 53. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and many more. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Michael Schellenberger, the independent investigative journalist, environmental activist too, who's few years ago had come back to sanity, which was always nice. Wrote a column about it, wrote a book about it, and he's been doing great work for the last several years, particularly in conjunction with Matt Taibbi and others. The Twitter files, he'll remember. He now has an outlet called Public. He was on with Waters the other night, and I thought he had an interesting perspective on what Trump represents, the first nationalist president of the Fourth Republic, if you will. That's sort of his construct. I'll let him lay out the case.
But we're essentially in the Fourth American Republic. I mean, we're at the end of an 80-year period that began after World War II, and that just so happens that the 1940s was the last time the White House had a significant renovation. So I do think that there is something really I think Democrats are intuiting that there's something really symbolic about what Trump is doing. He's really the first president of a new nationalist era as we say goodbye, as we really end that post-war era of intensive globalization. You know, we're about to be in our 250th anniversary of the United States, or at least the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. You basically have you have an 80-year cycle from America's founding to the Civil War, which was really the beginning of a new country. From that moment to World War II was about 80 years, and then from World War II to today it's about 80 years. So, politics has got a cycle. It's linear and progressive in some ways, but in other ways it's cyclical. And I do think that you see these are different eras in American history, and as usual, you will see the head of state, a newly elected president, define that new era. And I think that's what Trump is doing, and I think the ballroom sort of shows that. It shows, I think, bringing some grandeur to it. Obviously, Make America Great Again is the slogan of Trump's presidency. I also just think that that's how Democrats are going to have to respond to that. They're going to have to decide whether or not they're going to be sort of a pale imitation of nationalist party, or whether they're going to go in the direction, as you saw there, of socialism. It could end up tearing the Democratic Party apart. It could mean the end of the Democrat Party, and we see something totally new because the left has just been so discredited on every single one of its major issues, from race to border crime, climate change, and transgenderism.
I think the death of the so-called Democrat Party, which is more accurately described as a neo-Marxist party, may be greatly exaggerated, but I think Schellenberger is onto something in terms of the challenge that party has to position itself. So is it going to be the nationalists versus the anti-nationalists? Is that sort of the dichotomy? I think that would play well for the nationalists, although not in urban centers, as we were just discussing. For more perspective on this, please be joined by Ed Morrissey. He's the managing editor of Hot Air, hotair.com. Ed, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on, Dan. Great to be with you today.
So what do you think about Schellenberger's formulation there?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd heard him talk about it a little bit before. And I think that the issue here may be less of eras of 80 years each, but just the fact that there's a difference in the geopolitical world, globally, and we're reacting to that. We're in a very different situation than we were during the Cold War, and I think we've spent the last 30 years trying to figure out what that situation is.
Well, right, but I mean, sort of this common sense counter-revolution that is ongoing right now in reaction to really Biden and Obama with the interregnum there between Trump's two terms. That does seem to me, America First, nationalist. It does seem to me there is this national anti-nationalist split between the two sides, and you're seeing it play out right now with respect to immigration law enforcement. I mean, and other manifestations too. I mean, Schellenberger mentioned some of these other cultural issues where the other side seems to be in the minority, and that chasm is growing. But I mean, particularly on federal immigration law enforcement, that really does fit into, forget the 80-year sort of time frame, but it just fits into where we are now in terms of that. This is the Nationalist Party, and this is the party that wants to bring revolution to America, turn it into something that it has never been.
I've often thought that what we're in is a post-imperial period. After the collapse in World War I of the imperial order, which kind of continued through the next 30 years or so after that, after kind of needed World War II to settle that, right? I think that the issue is do you still have nation states without empire, or do you have a global government, global world order? And maybe that's the way to look at this. And that fits in with the nationalist issue that you're talking about, which is that I think what you're seeing are forces that are saying, there should be nation states with firm borders, no empires, no colonialism, and then the other end of that spectrum is one world government. We have to unite, and we need a technocracy to run this planet, sort of thing. And I think people are deeply now suspicious of the latter. And nationalism, frankly, is easier to sell. And frankly, I also think it's a better product.
Yeah, I mean, really, the intensity of the other side, as you see, really playing out in New York City, and to some extent, as I said, with respect to the assaults on ICE going on throughout the country, largely in urban centers or metropolitan areas, at least. Boy, it really does seem that party is properly defined as, and I mean, despite their chance of USA on No King's Day, that party is really defined as anti-nationalist, and globalist doesn't even fit either, because they're not really globalists. They're anti-nationalists, they're collectivists, but they're ultimately revolutionaries. They want America to represent the great promise of Marxism. I don't know how else to say it.
Well,
that's what they're doing.
Marxism is a globalist system, though. That's what I'm saying. Is that, and I don't mean globalism in terms of trade. I'm talking about globalism in terms of governance. There's a difference. I'm in favor of free trade and global trade. I have no problem with that. What we're talking though is global governance. And that's Marxism is the system for global governance. In fact, I think it's the only one that would actually work for global governance. And it's a brutal system. It would require the oppression of people around the planet in order to work. Because most people want subsidiarity in government. They want government to be accountable, to be closer to them rather than farther away from them, which is the beauty of the American model, which is that it's based on subsidiarity.
Yeah, well, so so this is an interesting point. And so then is this where MAGA has to do some course correcting if it is to sustain itself as the preeminent sort of a political movement, which is to say it needs to get more into the business of shrinking the size of government, not just, riffing 10,000 employees so you can spend the money somewhere else. You have to deal with debt. You have to deal with entitlements. You have to shrink the size of government. You have to get government out of the business of things it should never have been in the business of attempting in the first place. And there's not that much appetite for doing that at present.
No, I think what they're doing is they're consolidating gains, right? They're trying to deal with the issue of the border. They're trying to deal with the issue of crime. They're trying to deal with the issues in the urban cores, which is appropriate. And I think that that's good. But I think that as this matures, and hopefully as this continues to progress, they're going to have to figure out a longer-term plan for America, an America built on subsidiarity in governance to work within a planet that is clearly going in the direction of the Marxists. And that's going to be a struggle for us for quite a long time. And again, I think it's all part of this post-imperial world where nobody is really sure what the global world order, I hate that phrase because it's so freighted these days, but nobody's really sure what the global world order is or should be. We're still dealing with the detritus of the imperial age.
Yeah, although I got to say, what Milei is doing in Argentina is very helpful in informing this conversation because he's pushing the envelope of what's possible, and I hope Trump and his progeny, if you will, political progeny, are watching very closely, not just for the narrow purpose of right now and the relationship and getting them dollarized and those things, which are all fine. But I mean, just in thinking about this idea of what should government do and what shouldn't it do? What is our philosophy on government? A necessary evil or a force for good? Because those are two very different premises from which to start.
That's absolutely correct, right? But I think it starts at home. And this is the reason why nationalism, I think, ends up winning, is because it allows you to start at home, right? It allows you to be in a position where you structure your own entity to deal with the wills and desires of the electorate where you're at without having to worry about another group of people 5,000 miles away. And I think that's the reason why the traditional nation-state model is going to end up prevailing because it just simply is the one that's most responsive to the people who are governed by it. And that's what MAGA has to sort of look at down the road, is how you integrate that into foreign policy, how you integrate that into trade policy. The Europeans screwed it up. They created a European government rather than just a European trading association, which they had. The common market was effective, and they should have stuck with it. Instead, they've created a miniature model of what it would look like to have a global world government, and it's dysfunctional. It doesn't work.
The elections on Tuesday in New York City, Virginia, and New Jersey. So, everybody's focused on if an upset were to happen, like Chitterelli in New Jersey or Sears in Virginia, everybody's focused on, well, what would that mean for the Democrats? Will they pivot, so on and so forth? What if there's no quote-unquote upset? I mean, Chuck Chitterelli came within 84,000 votes 4 years ago. That was pretty close, and that was an incumbent. This is an open seat, and that Mikey Sherrill is not the most impressive candidate I've ever seen. So, in terms of momentum on all these issues, we're winning on all these issues, as sort of Schellenberger was describing, but yet we can't get over the finish line. What happens if we can't get over the finish line with Chitterelli in New Jersey? What's the message that MAGA should take away from that potential occurrence?
Well, I think you have to look at the political environment of these places. They're all three blue areas, right? Virginia's blue. It just is.
Yeah.
Now, Glenn Youngkin won 4 years ago, largely because they tried to run an old corruptocrat and upset the apple cart in Virginia. People didn't like the idea that a former governor was running for another term. Plus, he's Clintonista, and they were tired of that whole establishment. And then you had the parental revolt that was going on at the same time. But Virginia's blue. It has been. It has been now for a while. So if Republicans don't win in Virginia, it's because it's a blue state. The same thing is true in New Jersey. It would be remarkable if they won in either one of those places. As far as New York goes, I hear Republicans saying, well, you got to vote for Cuomo. I don't think you vote for Cuomo. Cuomo killed people. I mean, he killed people. He profited off his office. He abused his staff. I think you let New Yorkers have what they want and then let them deal with the consequences and let that be a lesson to everybody else, just like you do in Chicago.
100%. 100%. And the other thing, too, that some of these Republicans arguing for the Cuomo vote, I mean, including our friend Hugh Hewitt, but arguing that they miss is, we were just talking about this piece before you joined us, the American Prospect, about how, the base of that party has moved candidates left because they know they have no chance if they don't hew to the orthodoxy. So Seth Moulton, who's challenging Ed Markey for Senate in Massachusetts, I mean, he can't be taking money from AIPAC, and he's not going to anymore. So those sorts of things. And there's example after example. The point is to say Andrew Cuomo, who will shapeshift as he needs to win office, to stay in office, to gain popularity, to with an eye towards the next rung on the ladder or the comeback, which is where he is now, will say and do anything. And so if the zeitgeist in New York is where it obviously is, then that's what Andrew Cuomo will do. That's those positions he will parrot, those policies he will advance. He is a cardboard cutout human being. He is an empty vessel, just like Kathy Hochul, just like J.B. Pritzker. They will do what they need to do to succeed politically. And to succeed politically, you're going to, in a place like New York City, apparently, you're going to have to be sort of a cheap impersonation of Zohran Mamdani, even if you won.
Exactly. I mean, again, I don't think you get past this without making people feel the consequences of these policy choices, these political choices. And the idea that we have to vote for someone as despicable as Andrew Cuomo to or advocate for that. I'm not voting. I mean, obviously, I don't live in New York, but advocate for that people should vote for Andrew Cuomo, one of the most despicable people in politics, to rescue New Yorkers from themselves is nonsense. You got Curtis Sliwa on the ballot. I know he's kind of an interesting guy, but I like Curtis, and Curtis is at least a legitimate candidate who wasn't responsible for the deaths of thousands of senior citizens during the pandemic, and then lied about it, and then got $5 million for a book that his staff wrote while he was sexually harassing his staff.
Yeah. Nice profile. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's just the kind of guy I want to vote for. I mean, it's insane to make that argument. Right.
No, I agree. The immigration enforcement. Quietly you hear some conservatives saying, they really should focus on the 70% that they're already arresting people in this country illegally who have been convicted of a crime or have criminal charges in addition to being here illegally lodged against them. Some of the optics of picking up the restaurant worker or somebody else they happen upon because they're compelled to go into these neighborhoods in sanctuary states aren't good. It's undermining the cause, so on and so forth. What do you think?
What's the cause? Isn't the cause law and order? Isn't the cause enforcing immigration law? These people absconded on deportation hearings. Some of them have been coming in and out of the country with us chasing deportation orders for several cycles. They are looking for specific people on these things. They're not just hauling people in off the streets, no matter what the media wants to say. And these are people who are in the country illegally. And Donald Trump is demonstrating you can do something about that and resetting all the incentives on that. I don't understand what it is that people thought that ICE did for a living. This is what they do for a living. If you don't like that, change the law so that ICE doesn't have to enforce that. But of course, we're not going to do that because we're not insane. We have a nation state. A nation state has to enforce and defend its borders in order to remain viable. And we've had now several decades of not doing that effectively, and then 4 years of just absolute abdication of those responsibilities. This is what it's going to look like to correct that. I'm fine with that, and if voters don't like that, I get that. But it's necessary. It has to be done, and it serves as a lesson to everybody of what happens when you don't enforce and protect your borders.
Very good. Ed Morrissey, Senior Managing Editor, I should say, of Hot Air, hotair.com. Ed, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
And Ed, join us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177.
Medical professionals, is God calling you to contribute your medical skills for something more? Are you looking for better hours and a more flexible schedule? Since 2009, Waterleaf Women's Center in Aurora, Illinois has provided free and compassionate care to thousands of women facing an unplanned pregnancy. Due to the incredible growth of our ministry and the upcoming addition of wellness and prenatal services, we are seeking new members to join our medical team of doctors, nurses, and sonographers. Waterleaf offers a comfortable working environment, flexible hours, a Christ-centered approach, and a competitive salary. We consistently rank among the top-performing nonprofit pregnancy clinics in the nation, and our patient survey scores are phenomenal. For more information, please call Waterleaf Women's Center at 630-701-6270, 630-701-6270, or visit onechoiceonelife.org today. That website, onechoiceonelife.org. onechoiceonelife.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thank you for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. It was spirited this morning, as always. Appreciate the calls and contributions from our very intelligent listeners. It's a treat to have intelligent people to talk to who actually live in and around Chicago. I don't know if that's the majority anymore. We'll be back tomorrow with more. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
A warning to Jamaicans.